All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of Star Trek Europa. We've been off for a week, and then we had a week of technical difficulties where we were also off a week. So we've been off for 2 weeks for those of you who can math properly. I am your host, as always, Dr. RPG Jeff Harvey, and let's go ahead and have everyone introduce themselves. I think Evelyn actually has something to announce this time, but we'll start with Brian because he's the captain.
Hi, my name is Brian, he, him. I am playing Captain Jorad Hage, among other characters, and I have nothing to plug.
All right. John, you're the next one with nothing to plug.
Uh, Nothing to plug. John McKnight. I play Lieutenant Cassianeth Chibar Nevis, Science Officer.
Ev.
Evelyn Corbin, I play Dr. Dasavi Onayet, and I want to plug this really cool Etsy shop called Random Fandom Finds. They custom made this hoodie. They have all sorts of different things from Star Trek to Harry Potter to
Nerd
Doctor
stuff.
Who. Yeah, all sorts of nerd stuff. Really cool. Give them a check out.
Cool. And we'll have a link in the show notes for this episode, both on YouTube and on the Podbean once it's finally up on Podbean. And iHeartRadio. We're on iHeartRadio as of today.
Oh,
so
nice.
look at that.
Nice.
That's exciting.
Nice.
Jack, you're the next.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Jack, also known as Lightning or Lightning Levels, though I'm mainly focusing on my other account, The People's Ascension, which is primarily a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition stream, an actual play where me and a bunch of friends get around and go on crazy adventures, now featuring a lot of undead, soon to be growing more and more exotic than just the standard hordes and whatnot, zombies. Yeah, you can find me over at twitch.tv/The People's Ascension every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I also have a Discord and a Twitter, and you can find all of that over there. But as for right now, today, I am playing some Star Trek Adventures with these lovely people, and I am playing Commander, or I had to look at my sheet because it's been 2 weeks. I'm playing Commander or Ronnie Ambrose, a half Thalian chief of security and the number one to our fantastic Captain Hage, and I am super excited to see what we get into today.
Nice. And as always, you can check us out on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all the places that we do stuff. So let's do a recap. Where did we last leave off? What was
Space
our
whales.
last adventure? Space whales, yes.
Indeed, space whales.
Where we last left off was we were investigating strange subspace signals that seemed to be coming from a planet that shouldn't have subspace. When we checked it out, it turns out that there were some kind of space-going life form that was having issues navigating due to interference from the local populace. We kept a low profile but steered the creatures in the right direction through a combination of telepathy and munchy goodness.
Clever engineering.
And yep, and we got the and we set out for our next adventure.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything when I add to the recap, or is that good for everybody?
We learned that one of the space whales was pregnant, and she gave birth while we were observing her, and Eva is fascinated by birth. She's fascinated by many things, really. And we learned that the space whales can warp.
Yeah. May have made an Endorian slightly uncomfortable.
Yes,
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
We also have a record of their language, and may be able to, contact them in the future, knowing what we know from our observations.
Yep, that's true.
That's I think that's about it. Space whales.
All right. Does anybody have anything they want to start this session out with as far as the scene goes, or do we want to jump right into the intro?
I would definitely like to do a scene. Should we we talked a little about some folks on the crew getting together a game of some kind.
Oh yes, we were going to start out this session
Oh,
with a
man.
game of Tongo with Tong.
Tango with Tong.
I wish I remembered that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's start out. We can throw something together pretty quick with this one. So let's go ahead and say that in the enlisted lounge, which we'll do the enlisted lounge, that way we can show another part of the ship. The group is together playing some Tongo. I don't know who all is there other than Tong, who we know is supposedly going to be there because we haven't seen enough Tong, and he is amazing.
O'Connor is there.
So here's Tong. And then we got Rebecca O'Connor. There we go.
Kaz is there.
Kaz. Got that one. There we go.
Oh, we have a senior officer on
Yeah.
our on our. Oh man.
If she gets a real sense that that it's enlisted only, she won't. But she's really curious about people and wants to get a feel for as many of the crew as possible.
Anybody else?
so-
Yezabeth Chierka.
Yezabeth. And there we go. That should be 4 people sitting around the table playing Tongo. Obviously, we don't need to do much for actually playing Tongo, unless you guys really want to roll.
No.
So there you go. Whoops.
Okay, sure. So for anybody unfamiliar with Tonga, which was basically featured in Deep Space Nine, it's this large table, kind of like a roulette wheel, but a lot larger, and has this big brazier or just pot in the center where you throw in some latinum strips, and it's basically a card game that has some level of roulette style chance to it. I don't know if the rules were ever all that well expanded on outside of just what they showed in the episodes. But it's basically Ferengi Monopoly, from what I understand.
Yeah, there are a couple places online you can find the rules, but they're not very good. I've tried.
Okay. Yeah, so I imagine, unless anybody thinks differently, that this is probably something Tong set up. Let me move this over here. This is probably something Tong set up, and probably something that was just posted on mainly whatever intership communications that mainly the junior officers use, and I think it's just Cass's own curiosity that has found her way to this otherwise junior officers.
Actually, if I
table.
could retcon a little bit, I think it would make a lot more sense to bring Counselor Dominguez Vega, who is a specialist in games and psychology, rather than
There you go.
games.
Okay. That
I'm looking to see. Have we seen Vega at all yet?
He was
so.
in the medical department meeting, and I think he
Okay.
said one thing, and otherwise that's been it so far.
That's right. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so Tong is probably at the head of this round table. Probably what's the word, fabricated or whatnot, a chair that is just slightly larger than everybody else's. He has one of those if you remember from, I think it was mainly on Next Generation, the bed sheets were these like real sleek, shimmery, shiny, almost oil-like sheets. He probably has like a gold version of that draped over like the back of the chair to make it look super ostentatious. And there are actually little gold strips lined up at everybody's seat. And of course, we'll probably start in media res, and I'm just spinning the table. Yeah, but Tong actually fabricated some gold strips, because gold is easily replicated. It's the latinum inside that's actually worth something. So at the beginning So he'll probably be he'll be like, welcome, yes, hello, thank you for joining me today. This is going to be so much fun. This is going to be great. I have a great game from Ferenginar. I think you will all enjoy it if you have not played before. I managed to synthesize some of these. Well, they're not latinum. I could only synthesize the gold because we don't really have latinum on here. Not really sure what the point is, but I really don't understand what the point of those little plastic circles are that other card games use. But you people like to have things to throw in the cup, so I made those. Anyway, you all know the rules, right? And I toss in a strip and shout evade and just spin the wheel. Learn as you go.
O'Connor picks up one of the strips and looks at it with appreciation. Nice. She looks remarkably more relaxed than we've seen her so far, and very excited.
Dominguez Vega may still be carrying a pad with the rules on it. He's clearly checked them out, and it calls out he wants to leverage the buy-in and throws in a couple strips.
This guy knows what he's doing. Watch out for this guy.
Elizabeth looks very nervous and uncomfortable with the entire situation. She's going to say, yeah, I'll do what he did.
Connor will follow suit.
You guys go around the table a couple times and pass, evade, confront another evasion, and
indexing the
exchange, and all the things that Ferengi do, and the first hand goes obviously to Tong. You're pretty sure he may have been cheating, although does he cheat? It's hard to say, Ferengi. But
Ferengi will tell you they never cheat.
After a couple of hands, it becomes clear that Elizabeth does not know how to play and is too afraid to say anything.
And Dominguez Vega's keeping up a low-key stream of chatter, trying to distract people enough so that they're not thinking about the fact that the psychologist is watching them play.
Connor is all in and not probably giving Tong a decent bit of challenge.
Okay.
If no one else has anything they want to get specifically from that, when we get a chance to see the game go on for a little while, a couple of hands, and it ends with a few rounds go by, and then you find that Vega has been obviously learning your tells the entire time, and lays down a confront and surprises Tong with one last hand. And then we can cut to the intro. We'll go ahead and do that. All right.
Not broken, don't fix it.
Go ahead, Brian. Whichever one you want to do first.
Space, the final frontier. It's through our exploration that we learn about the universe, each other, and ourselves. These are the voyages of the Starship Europa, its mission to explore new life and new civilizations, wherever we may find them. Stardate 53975.2. The Europa has entered the Nolist Sector. Starfleet has been attempting to map the mysterious region for nearly a year. More than half a dozen probes have been launched into the sector. but the observations have been the observers have lost all contact with all of them. Each probe has sent a final garbled transmission before the signal was lost. Our mission is to locate the cause of the probe's disappearance, as well as hopefully get some idea of what is out here.
Yeah, I deleted a space in there. It's supposed to be observer stations, but yeah, you got it. All right. So you enter in the system. The first thing you find in your sensors that is that it is a fairly vast region of space. Minimize. Where's the minimize button? Nope, minimize. And it's almost nebulous. It's not really a full-on nebula, but there's a lot of dust and particles in the region that obscure sensors. We're going to add the effect that will go forward of it's a regional condition of sensor reduced sensors, essentially. It just adds one difficulty to all sensor tasks due to the amount of debris in the region. Shouldn't really affect the Europa all that much. But yes, on the bridge, you've got the basic studies and whatnot going on. And what do you guys want to do first? I know I didn't give you a whole lot of information, but.
Yeah, so Hage is on the bridge and he's considering the situation. He's going to just muse out loud, I think, to everybody who's on the bridge. What do you say we send out a probe and see what happens to it? Maybe we can track down whatever might be happening to him. The thing's hungry for probes.
Captain, maybe we should send out a couple so they can track each other. If we lose one, we still get some data.
Not a bad idea. It'll be especially interesting if they all disappear at once.
It would be disturbing, but interesting.
Well, it sounds like a plan. If you could put that, if you could go ahead and send out those probes, Lieutenant, that'll take care of it.
Right away, sir.
Okay, go ahead and throw me a science and sensors of some sort, whatever role you want to, whatever you think is most appropriate for what you're doing. And the ship will assist with sensors and science.
Okay. Reason or control? What do you like?
Either makes
Control
sense.
probe?
Control is fine if you want to control the probes more directly, but reason is fine too if you're just trying to throw them out there and see what kind of information you can get.
Let's go with control to start.
Okay.
Focus, nothing useful, it looks like. So let's just roll it and see what happens.
Your difficulty is 1 because of the sensor dampening.
Okay.
The sensor dampening effect, I should say. 2 successes. And the ship rolls for 0 successes and a 20.
Oh.
Off to a good start.
Off to a good start there, Eva. Clearly, the sensor dampening effect is more than Eva thought it was going to be. The probe goes out. Both probes go out, I should say, and they get a certain distance from the ship, several thousand kilometers, and one of them begins as it gets into an area of space, the information begins to get very garbled, and then it just stops. And the probe, you can still see it on sensors, but it blinks out shortly thereafter. And the second probe does the same thing in almost the exact same spot, pretty much the exact same spot.
Okay, so it's location based.
Eva does a sensor sweep of the area and tells you that the sensors come back saying that there is nothing in that sector. It is a sensor dead zone.
Can we map the boundaries of the zone so we don't accidentally fall into it? And does it seem to be moving, or is it stationary?
It'll take some time to map it and to get that answer for sure. but you can certainly begin mapping it. It's big.
Okay.
It's Eva tells you that she at the beginning, at the moment though, she's not able to find the direct edge of the sensor anomaly.
Well, we know where the probes disappeared. It seems
Right.
like it seems prudent that we can go up to shortly before the probes disappeared, and we'll be relatively safe.
Right.
Um,
You do have one question if you want to ask another question, because I assumed that was not one of your questions.
Yeah.
If anyone has one, you can ask it.
There is those garbled transmissions. Perhaps we could clean those up.
Hmm.
Assuming our probes sent back the same information.
Yes.
Good thought.
Okay. Yeah, you guys start going through the sensor log, and compare it with the sensor information that you guys got from Starfleet Command's observer stations, because why wouldn't they give that to you? If anyone wants to make a science or engineering test to try to start ungarbling that, you're welcome to do so.
I wouldn't mind going for insight science, maybe.
Can I assist with engineering?
Sure. The captain or Elizabeth?
The captain.
Okay, sure.
He's getting a little hands-on.
Sure.
So.
Okay, let me see if I don't have anything. I've got studios, but I'm not going to be spending momentum. So let's just roll and see what happens.
I fail.
The ship also failed. Good Lord.
I didn't roll. That's odd. Okay, let's try that again.
Well, you
Six
succeeded.
successes.
Cass is going to carry the team today.
Cass had her coffee today.
The cast show. Okay. You get some information back from the logs and comparing it. It takes you a little bit of time to get the information and filter it all through. But basically, what you find is that the sensor logs from the probes right near the end of their transmission, it's actually a lot of it's an elongated transmission. So it's actually in the span of a few seconds, you actually got about 2 or 3 hours worth of transmission. So it's some kind of time shifting effect has caused that. The information that you get shows that there is clearly an event horizon. Something is on the other side of that event horizon. And the analysis begins to show what you can only begin to describe as a Schwarzschild black hole, which those of you who are science nerds or Andorians would know that those are not natural phenomenon. They cannot exist in nature.
Cass will pass that on to the captain of the bridge crew.
How are those different from normal black holes?
They are static. They are non-rotational black holes. They are just holes that suck up space, basically. Kind of.
So when we put on our view screen, we don't see stars. We see black.
Actually, you see right around where the event horizon was, you actually see a lot of the dust particles, which is not atypical of looking at a black hole's event horizon on a linear plane. So you're on a similar plane to the black hole's event horizon.
Okay.
It's a weird phenomenon that would happen in a static black hole. Again, though, these things don't exist in nature. So these are something that Starfleet has never encountered before.
Cass roll an insight science to get some clues about them.
Sure.
And again, she does not have a useful focus.
Yes. Could you ask Ensign Jerica to tune the sensors? She might be able to calibrate to get some more precise readings.
Oh, that's a good idea, Captain. Absolutely. Ensign Cherokee to the bridge, please.
Jerica will come up poker-headed and then, what do you need? How can I help?
Well, we are looking at a static black hole, but we're getting a fair bit of sensor noise. Any chance you could give us a fine tuning, clean some of this up a little bit?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. We need to look for what's not there instead of what is there. I can do that.
That's fantastic.
Still nothing.
Eva did give you an assist this time, and it actually worked. So you got what, 2 successes there, and Eva got 1, so that's 3.
Yeah.
Difficulty was still 0. Still 1. So you get 2 questions. You are beginning to map the region of the space that this anomaly is in. Eva tells you it's pretty big. I mean, it's not on a galactic. It's not on it's on a planetary size rather than a system size, but it's still very large.
Is there anything that's been speculated could create one of these?
That's a good question. I didn't think that one out. Yes, there are a few
Romulans.
thoughts. Romulans, yeah.
Yeah, that was my thought.
There is the idea that these could be created during certain type of laboratory conditions. In fact, they may have been created during testing of like super collider type testing, or when trying to do quantum, trying to measure quantum time variables. It's very complicated to get into what they're actually testing for, but yes, they can be manually created on a very small scale. The largest one that Starfleet has ever known to be created in a laboratory was about the size of a molecule of hydrogen. On this scale, nothing is it. There's no idea what we could do on this scale.
I have a question, which of course people are free to shoot down. You said there's a whole bunch of dust and other small particulate in this system, sector, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Could we determine the volume of that and see if there is enough collected volume that would equal planets or something large enough to have a science station on it?
Sure.
Right there with you. Yep.
Right. Something that existed at one time.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, sure. The particulate matter in the entire system that you're in would probably come up to about the size of a medium-sized moon. So it really wouldn't be quite planetary scale. Close, but not quite.
And we're not in a system. There's no sun.
There's no sun.
Out.
There's no sun. There's no planets. It's kind of a sector of space.
Okay.
You are also detecting that there appears to be a number of where did I see them? Hang on. Tetryon particles in the system. An unusual number of tetryon particles in the system.
Romulans.
It's chronotons for Romulans.
Oh, okay.
Tetrons are a subspace particle.
Yes. Do you detect any kind of alloy metals in the within the dust? If so, that might indicate something man-made was here at one point.
A research station or something. Do we?
Yes. Yeah, there are definitely some alloys of particles of alloys in the system. They are unusual alloys. They're not something that Starfleet uses. They're not used by Klingons or any of the known major races of the Alpha Quadrant, but there are definitely some alloyed metals.
Mm-hmm.
So remind me if I'm just blanking here, if we somehow skipped over it.
Mm-hmm.
You said when we got that transmission back, it was a shrunken transmission because of time dilation and whatnot. Right. Did we, draw that out and figure out what it was?
Yes.
Or we still need to do that?
No, you drew it out, and that's what you got, was that it was time dilation, which is not atypical, again, of getting close to a black hole when you have the time compression of...
But essentially, what information was in that transmission?
Oh, I gotcha.
Was it radio? Was it, astrological data, yada, yada?
You get all the major sensor data that you would normally get. So you've got radiological data, you've got visual sensor data. One of the things you pick up in the signal of the probes, though, is that the tetryon signal, the tetryon particles that are in the area appear to be heavily concentrated in a they're they clearly are escaping from the event horizon, which is not a thing that normally things should be able to do unless they can travel faster than light, which tetryon particles generally can't. Also, they're technically a subspace. You don't really only see them when there's a problem with subspace anyways. But yeah, you don't get a whole lot more than that, because once it passes the event horizon, the data can't get out anymore. So you're getting this time dilation of it going into the anomaly.
Right.
And the information that you get is fairly consistent with what you would expect from time dilation from going into a black hole.
Okay.
So
What if we modify a probe so that it contains either some kind of quantum communication or subspace communication, so that way it would be able to escape the event horizon?
some sort of FTL communication.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's theoretically possible.
I like it.
All right. Well,
Engineering want to build us one?
yeah, Jericho will get right on it. But as Jorad, I would like to, since this is a plan and he is good with plans, I would like to roll to apply advantage.
Sure.
Okay. Command plus, would you say presence or reason?
Presence probably, since you're trying to command other people to give them your benefit, your wisdom and knowledge. That's what, 2, or is that 1?
That is 1.
Okay.
So it's up to you if that's enough to apply an advantage.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So Azabeth is going to Azabeth and anyone else from engineering that is going to assist can attempt to modify one of the probes with an FTL form of communication. To do that, I'm going to say that you have essentially just for simplified terms, we're going to do this just really easy. We're going to do this as a extended task, but without the complicated extended task rules. You guys have to get a grand total of 4 advantages. You can do as many times, you can roll as many times as you need to roll to get that, but each roll will take about an hour of time.
Okay.
Just super simplified extended task rules.
Sure.
Is anyone assisting?
Well, if it's an extended task, it makes sense for everybody to do their own roll. Can I use 2 momentum or 3 momentum to do 2 extra dice?
Fine by me.
Sounds good.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Still not great. That is still 3 successes though.
Right.
Oh, and one of them is within her. Hold on.
And damn. Come on, Eva. Okay. So you got 3 successes. Is that one not a I assume a focus didn't apply?
The focus does apply. Well, would you say a focus of sensors would apply?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Then it does apply, and
So
I also have dedicated focus, which we get 1 bonus momentum.
Gotcha. So you have 1 momentum back, and you succeed. All
And-
right. It takes you about an hour to get it set up, but you can definitely set that up. In the meantime, while you were doing that, Kaz, you notice that Eva is drawing a considerable amount of resources to a particular sensor module, and appears to be doing something on her own at the moment, which is, somewhat not totally unusual, but something to think about.
Eva, what you working on?
Lieutenant, I am detecting what I believe may be a signal from within the black hole, from beyond the event horizon.
Fascinating. What sort of signal? What frequencies? What are you getting?
I am not certain. There appears to be a tetryon carrier wave that is emanating from the black hole. It appears to be, if I were to guess, I would say it appears to be some sort of distress signal.
Can we hook it through the universal translator, something like that, to try to get some more information out of it?
We can certainly attempt it.
Well, let's see what we can get. That's fascinating.
She starts running things through the universal translator and is getting slow results. It'll take about an hour, about the same amount of time it takes for Elizabeth to get the probe finished. So you now have the probe ready to go whenever the captain is ready to use that. You also have, let's see. Yeah. As you go farther, as the time passes and the things begin going through the translator, you begin to see the signal appears to be of Federation origin, but it is difficult to tell more than that because the Tetrions are not really designed to carry messages. So it's kind of a really weird way of doing things.
Captain, did you get any reports that might have been too confidential to tell us about a Federation presence out here?
I would not want my officers to go in not having all the information they need. This might be related to the missing ships we were informed about at the briefing. Could be the Bellerophon or any number of ships who disappeared.
Fascinating.
I'm going to.
Either way, this means we have to get them out.
Absolutely, sir.
If they're still alive, or at least determine if they are still there.
The signal is coming from beyond the event horizon, correct?
Correct. I threw a quick note in the chat there, so you guys want to see that in the Fantasy Grounds chat.
Mm-hmm.
Just some more science information. Something
that was more in character.
Yes.
If this signal is coming from beyond the event horizon, that's it, right?
Correct.
Well,
Cass.
if something is managing to
They're
get
gone.
a signal through, and it's an active signal now, it's conceivable that they're not. When or where they are, whether it's in our time or our universe or some other universe, I have no idea. But if we're getting something and it's current and it's subspace, something's somewhere, sir.
Well, how can it be current if it's being subjected to such high time dilation?
Okay, Celia, if it's a Tetryon carrier wave, it's coming through subspace. Would it be subject to the time dilation or not?
Anything that would be going faster than the speed of light could escape the event horizon theoretically. However, it's hard to say how subspace and black holes interact. We don't really, it's a questionable thing. When you use warp, you don't suffer time dilation for going faster than the speed of light because of the warp field itself. So it's possible to go faster than the speed of light without incurring the time dilation penalties.
But even in warp, ships can't move through black holes, right? Black holes have been a problem for Starfleet.
Theoretically, yes. They have been. Yes, a standard black hole is absolutely a problem for Starfleet.
Like just opening a warp bubble would not allow us to go in and fish them out.
Right.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Right.
Well,
so this is unknown territory, sir,
yeah.
but I don't think we can rule anything out at this point. This is, I don't know if it's unique, but it's certainly unusual.
Is there any way we could figure out how deep they are, or how old the transmission is, I suppose both would be the same with time dilation and all that.
There
Or
might
maybe
be
it doesn't
some
have
way
time
to,
dilation, subspace.
yeah, there might be some way to see if we can benchmark the Tetryon signal against the time dilated data we got from the probes to see if we can use them as a bit to compare each other. I'm not sure.
And that makes sense. If we know the degree of time dilation, we should be able to extrapolate.
That's what I'm thinking, Captain.
It's worth a shot.
You do have a probe now that has FTL communication.
I may be getting ahead of myself, but with this probe, could we park it just at the event horizon? Do we have enough precise control to be able to do that? Maybe we could use it as a relay.
That's a terrific idea, sir.
Relay for what exactly?
Whatever's on the
Communicating with
inside.
whoever's in there.
Wouldn't it need to know about the probe in order to relay with it directly?
Well, perhaps we could, as a relay, transmit our own hail to them. I'm not a science officer. I'm just spitballing here.
The message would get sucked into the black hole. We wouldn't be able to confirm if they heard us, but it'd be worth a shot.
Okay, and if the transmission coming back out is live or near live, we should be able to detect that through the probe.
We can't. Can we respond on this same Tetryon-based carrier wave, or would we have to respond using our own normal signals? If so, we would have to drastically elongate any message we send in there, or truncate. How does that work? Which way is it going?
Compress, I think, because it's going to get expanded.
Because it's going to get yeah.
Sounds like we could do it. Whether it'll be detected or not depends on their status, but we can at least drop them a line.
Getting that set up, sir. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Okay.
Excellent. Let's continue with the FTL probe, though. We can use another probe as a relay. That way we aren't putting all our eggs in one basket.
I thought we needed the FTL communication for the relay to work.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
Oh, I thought you wanted the probe outside of the event horizon. You meant
I was thinking just at the edge, just on the. I don't know how precise we can get here, but if we could get that on the event horizon, maybe half in, half out. I don't know if that works. Would there be gravitational shearing? I don't know, but.
And even if the data that comes back to us is time dilated, we should still be able to send that Tetryon signal through and then get it back and and recompress it.
You can also just create more FTL probes. It's not like it was a finite resource.
True. Yeah, I mean, if it's in the event horizon, it's going to get sucked in because that's what the event horizon is. So,
but close.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to in order for it to be able to do what you want to do, you'd have to get it just to the other side of the event horizon.
Yeah, which means it's getting sucked in, but it could serve as a relay until it hits the source of the gravity.
Yeah. The ideal thing here is if the science behind it would be if you cross the black hole, if you cross the event horizon, which the event horizon is the point where light can no longer escape.
Mm-hmm.
If you're moving faster than the speed of light, something should theoretically be able to escape that. So the FTL communication should be able to provide information from beyond the event horizon.
So we'd lose the probe, but keep the data. Theoretically,
that is correct. Assuming, yes, that is correct.
Yeah, which is why we're using a probe in the first place.
Right.
So let's be about it.
All right, you launch the probe.
Mm-hmm.
All right, give me another science roll. Reason and science with the computer also assisting. Anyone else that wants to assist can.
I think my plan of action would probably apply to this.
Sure.
So you would get advantage, plus you would generate it. If you succeed, you generate 2 bonus momentum.
Oh, look at that. Europa finally helped.
Ooh.
All right,
Yeah.
Eva. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So we're at 4 plus the bonus momentum from the captain, right? And you said you created advantage, so the difficulty was 0.
0.
That overcomes the sensor dampening effect of all the stuff. So you've got 5. You have 5 momentum to spend or save at your discretion. When as the probe crosses the event horizon and is using the FTL comms, you note that due to the fact that it is using a subspace carrier wave, it is not subject to the time dilation as it passes the event horizon. When it arrives inside of the anomaly, the readings go kind of abnormal. The signal appears to be it's hard to explain how this actually works with a signal, but okay. So essentially what's happening now is you're getting a flash forward of a single point in space. You are watching a single point in space evolve very quickly, very rapidly. Like the stars are moving very fast. The things in the region that you're seeing are very, very quick. But it's a single point in space that you're seeing the entire time. The signal from the Tetryon signal, essentially, you are picking that up on the probe, and it appears to be I'm not sure the word is active, but essentially it appears to be moving its way through time. It's hard to explain.
So when you say a single point in space, I assume you don't mean a one-dimensional point.
Correct.
What is the volume of which we are seeing, and does it follow the time dilation we would expect?
It does not follow time dilation you would expect, and it is roughly the size of whatever the sensor package on the shuttle could be on the probe could detect. So it's the full range scan, but the probe itself is not moving, even though you would expect it to be moving. It has apparently stopped moving once it has crossed that barrier.
And it is detecting some sort of volume that is moving through time.
Correct.
But not as fast as you would expect it to move, given that it's beyond the event horizon of a singularity.
Correct.
It's moving fast, but not fast enough.
Correct. It is not. It is not moving at crush you with gravity speeds, sort of thing.
Right.
And we don't have a sense of how big a volume that is. It's just whatever can be detected.
Yeah. So, for those of you who are curious, this is the science we're working on. This is what the probe basically comes back with, a Penrose diagram. The blue lines are space. I'm sorry, the blue lines are space, and the pink lines are time. And you can see as you've crossed the event horizon, the space has changed the direction with time. So you're always moving in the direction of the arrows. That doesn't change when the event horizon is passed. So now what's basically happening from what Kaz is detecting and what you can come up with from Eva is that the probe is in a static place in space, but is moving through time as if it were moving through space normally. Does that make sense?
Gotcha, yeah.
You've essentially flipped time and space on the interior of the singularity. That's some real shit right there.
I assume I'm imagining that Cass brings up this diagram on one of the LCAR panels, and Ambrose is just like, what am I looking at?
As it clearly shows, sir.
Right.
It clearly shows.
It makes perfect sense to Jorah Hage.
Obviously.
Brian doesn't get
it. I did warn that I watched too many science videos. If this doesn't come out well, my bad.
This is totally cool.
So theoretically with this, would we be able to leave the event horizon under our own power?
Theoretically, because you can travel faster than the speed of light, you should be able to leave the event horizon. You should be able to escape the event horizon, theoretically.
Wouldn't pink be distance? Because it's moving towards infinite distance, and blue is moving from infinite past to infinite future.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So pink is time, blue is space. What are those arrows?
The direction that things flow. It only can flow in one direction, right? Because we're linear creatures.
Right, from past to future.
Correct.
Okay, got you.
But you could move through space as you see fit. So,
right.
Yeah.
So would infinite distance encompass things outside of the singularity?
Theoretically.
So we could use this as a wormhole.
Theoretically.
Interesting.
That is also, so if you're looking at infinite distance, that's the expansion of the universe as it expands out. We're living in an expanding universe that is an expanding.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is referring to. And the reason that you can't really ever reach the edge of the future cosmic horizon is because of the lack of FTL. Well, you guys have FTL. Theoretically, you could do it. It would take super duper long time, but you could theoretically do it.
What would the future cosmic horizon look like theoretically? Like, I suppose I'm asking, if we were on this graph in the middle,
yeah,
we enter, but we were to go immediately northeast.
Sure.
What would be the end result? Both. What does that line represent? The future cosmic horizon.
So essentially, it is the boundary of the universe, the known barrier of the universe.
Okay.
It is where things exist and where things do not exist.
And we can reach that at any point in time, from very tiny universe near the Big Bang to very large universe when everything kind of.
Correct. Just dependent on where you are in the space-time array. When you're moving left or right on this, that's where time dilation begins to happen. So if you're moving to the left towards the event horizon, you start experiencing time dilation. If you're moving the other direction, you start experiencing time dilation as well, in the other direction. Again, though, because of warp, you don't experience the time dilation, so you really only move up and down in space. You never really move through time. You never experience time dilation when you're using warp. It defeats the whole idea of how traveling faster than light actually works.
So that takes the any when off the table, but leaves us with anywhere.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So based on this graph, it seems like it would be very predictable.
Theoretically. Yeah. You could detect. The only difference is that once you cross over the horizon, you're now dealing with a variation in time. The time and space reverse. So if you're traveling forward on that scale, you're moving forward in time and not you're moving
Not distance.
Right, you're not moving in distance, you're moving in time. So if you're warping in that atmosphere, in that environment, you're staying in one spot, but you're moving forward through time at an extremely high rate of speed. Does that make sense?
Okay, I'll buy it.
So distance equals time.
Right. There's a space-time inversion once you're inside there, essentially.
So then, you being under our normal form of propulsion, once you pass the event horizon, we would not be able to physically move.
Correct. You'd be in a physical place and time, a physical space moving through time.
So, if I'm understanding this correctly, what we're looking for is probably just on the other side of this event horizon, like the probe, but it's probably really, 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 really old.
Potentially.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So the axis for infinite future and past is innavigable.
Essentially. They would be event horizons just like the event horizon you're looking at now. If you were to cross them, you don't know what you would find, but it would function essentially the same as an event horizon.
Mm-hmm.
It is the event horizon of the cosmic future. You can't see past it because light can't go past that. Because light doesn't go fast enough to go past that.
So we just need to be a temporal tow truck.
Basically.
But and I'm dropping back into Ambrose now. We don't have temporal capabilities. We get around with warp technology, which kind of cheats our way out of it, but
Mm-hmm.
we can move in distance outside of this black hole, but that propulsion, that physical propulsion, would equate to time on the inside. So I would think we would need to find a way to travel through time here on the outside, which would translate to distance
On the
inside. So how do we travel, presumably, backwards in time?
Well, it seems to me that if distance equals time, if we reverse, would that reverse time?
So if we enter,
Isn't that what I'm saying?
yeah, if we enter the range of the anomaly, we identify whatever's in there, and we then tractor it or attach to it somehow, and back up. We back it back to the time at which it went in the first place.
Yes, that is correct.
But if we apply physical propulsion to, assuming the Europa, connected by a physical object that goes into the black hole, any movement, physical movement beyond the event horizon equates to time.
Right. That's
So
how we can haul it.
We would essentially be going into the future or the past,
Mhm.
and then, but when we return, when we reverse course, we would be changing it back to the current time.
Right.
Sure.
Yes, that is correct. I think what Ambrose is trying to get at, though, is how do you actually get out of the black hole? Because
Right,
you're
'cause
not
you're gonna be
actually
moving
moving through space at all.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to be physically moving. You're going to be chronologically moving.
You'd be following that pink line all the way back to essentially the infinite.
Maybe Jack is not understanding what you two are saying.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're saying, let's just shoot a tractor cable over there and pull them out.
I was thinking we'd go in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to go in there. You guys could take a shuttle pod.
Well,
Right.
listen, Ambrose, if you didn't want to go into black holes, you should have joined
You're on the
Star.
wrong ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think something that maintains a warp field needs to go in, and something that's got the strength to tow out whatever might be on the other side. We're presuming it's one or more Starfleet ships.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be us.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able, a shuttle wouldn't be enough to tractor. I do think we have to send the whole ship.
Can we test this theory?
Could we test this with the probe?
Right.
The idea we could use a shuttle pod to try to tractor the probe out before we commit all of the Europa to this endeavor.
That's a great idea.
It would
That
depend
makes sense.
It would depend if the probe has FTL travel. If it does,
We would just need to expand the warp bubble around it.
Yeah.
I assume you sent a probe that has FTL.
I don't see why we wouldn't.
I don't
Yep.
see why you wouldn't.
Isn't that what we just did?
That was FTL communication. Subspace
Communications.
Got you.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an FTL probe, it would be an FTC probe.
Yes,
faster
but you
than
could certainly
light.
you could certainly do both. I mean, there are probes that have more
Communication.
capabilities. So
Yeah.
I feel like Chierko would just go that extra mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why not? You've got lots of them.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's give that a try. Where we get the probe back. We'll try and give it the command to return to ship, and see if it using exactly the same course it used to get into it.
Okay.
Because if it's stable, that should work.
I like it.
Under the probe's own power, not using a shuttle.
Right,
to
right.
tow.
I got what you're going for. It is reversing
Okay.
course back through the anomaly. That's what you're trying to get it to do, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would certainly be a simple solution.
Right. At FTL.
Yep.
Okay. The probe is capable of warp 5. So the information you gain from the sensors, the probe does not appear to be moving at all in space. It appears to again still be standing in that same static position in space, but you are seeing a reverse of all of the things that you've already seen go by it go the other direction. So essentially you're now seeing it go backwards in time. So you're seeing a great deal. You're actually, after a little while, you see the other probes enter into the system and go past it. Then a few more probes go past it over time, and it continues to go backwards in time.
Well, fascinating. Not a solution to the problem, but fascinating.
Right. It doesn't have the capability to move physically.
Time, which would
Through
translate
space.
into space. Right.
Right.
Is it showing any of the other starships?
It does not. No.
Did we tell it to reverse at warp 5?
I think we
You
did.
can vary the warp speed if you want to.
Yeah.
I would assume we did tell it to do it at warp, but that didn't work. It's still traveling through time rather than space.
Right. And it does appear to be relative to the amount of warp that it is going. So if it is going at warp 5, it is moving through time faster than it is as if it were moving at warp 1.
Okay. If only we could reverse time, then we could reverse distance.
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah.
Right.
That's going to be
Yeah.
Amber's catchphrase this episode.
Temporal
Um,
mechanics.
I mean, presumably, if we simply wait here, this is showing us the past. That in a local area. Obviously, we should work on solving this problem, but while we wait, we should stay connected to this.
Yeah, we're getting great data.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Because we may be able to, depending on how old this thing is, we may be able to travel back to its creation,
Yeah.
and then it would just pop out. Right?
Theory.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
But this thing could be ancient, and at warp 5, who knows how long it would take. But yes, we need a way to travel chronologically backwards in time in our universe. That's essentially its own sort of pocket universe at this point.
Right.
It operates under different physical laws, directly proportionally inverted physical laws.
Mhm.
Possibly. Yeah. It's
What happens if we toss a probe in there that is physically tethered to a shuttle and then try to physically pull the probe back out?
It would still be moving through distance and therefore time.
You're talking about having it on one end of the.
Right.
That would be weird.
That would have an incredible amount of gravitational shearing.
Yeah.
We don't have a substance that would be able to hold that.
Trying to pull something through the event horizon of a black hole physically. Yeah.
But this Tetryon carrier wave we've determined it's man-made, it's artificial,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So
The,
somebody in there,
Is trying to communicate.
we know that tetryon waves are able to move physically. So if we were to do some kind of tetryon tuning to the engines, they could move. They could theoretically be immune from the time dilation.
Yeah, the FTC that you guys have coming out of there using subspace is not affected by time dilation currently. You are getting real time, what you assume is real time data.
Right.
but
I
we're
guess-
you
not
said-
using the carrier wave,
Not using the carrier wave, just using standard subspace communication,
right?
which means subspace has some sort of factor in going in there.
Now, pretty much all ship-to-ship communication in Star Trek is FTL. Have we tried just hailing the singularity? What happens if we just send out a broad spectrum signal in there?
Yeah, we should do that, and we should also maybe send in another probe to do it on the other side, just to see what happens.
We can give it a shot. I don't know if it's going to do anything, but we could give it a shot.
Ouch. All right. Yeah. One ping, Mr. Pacelli. One ping only, please. So you're going to send out a broad spectrum FTL communication at the anomaly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you do so, and after a few minutes, Eva starts to the main console station that Kaz is looking at begins to function. The lights begin moving much faster, as if like it does on Data's head when he's doing stuff. She is definitely working at something after you've sent the FTL communication.
Eva, got anything for us?
The Tetron carrier wave has altered its message. I am still unable to decode it entirely, but I have a suspicion that whatever it is on the other side of that has received our communication.
Fascinating. Well, that's a step forward. We know they're there and they know we're here. And presumably they're trying to figure out what to do as much as we are.
Kaz, give me, since you're sitting there at the computer, give me an insight and science roll. I'm going to say your difficulty is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and say the difficulty is going to be 3, but I'm going to use a chit to make it 4, because I don't know why I wouldn't just make it 4, but I made it 3.
Focus in computer systems or universal translators?
Computer systems, I'll allow.
Okay. And anybody mind if I spend a die?
No.
So I've got cautious science and studious. So I'll change that to a 3. And I'll re-roll that 20.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. Looking at the signal that Eva is working through, you begin to notice a pattern. The pattern looks extremely similar to the Europa's comm signals.
Oh, right. Of course it does.
So it's our own message being reflected back at us.
Or our own message to us from some other time after we screwed something up and crossed the event horizon.
Right. Probably saying stay out of the black hole.
Yeah, it's me on the other side of this thing saying, I told you so.
Isn't this what I was just talking about?
That's what I said.
That's what I said.
That might not actually be it. I mean, I think it is us. I'm not disagreeing with that, but it might not be a warning to stay away. And the possibility that this could be a consistent method of infinite travel anywhere is too tempting to pass up. We do need to investigate this more.
Oh, I completely agree, sir. Worst case, we know we survived whatever stupid thing we do.
I do think that Tetryon waves are the key to this, because the Tetryons obviously modified the comm signal enough that it was able to travel out. I think we could do the same thing to our engines. I think if we modified the engines through Tetryons, it would allow us to move normally within the event horizon.
Makes sense to me with my 3 engineering.
Move normally within the event horizon.
He means normally within space on the other side of the event horizon.
That's
Which means we would not be moving through time.
But if we controlled the amount of Tetryons, we could adjust it and theoretically have the best of both worlds.
Because we know that the warp factor the probe is traveling at makes a temporal difference. So it's got a temporal throttle on it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the captains have onto something that we might be able to do both.
It's theoretical science.
Think of it as having a pitch and yaw as well as a left and right.
Would the point of impact on this event horizon dictate time?
Ooh.
In what regard?
If we go in, theoretically, if we find a way to move chronologically back in time, and therefore can move spatially on the inside of this event horizon, if we go in and immediately back out, we would be at the exact same time. We would go in, time on the outside would essentially stop, we would back up and be just like 1 second afterwards or something like that. So if we fly to the other side of this singularity, it would be a different time. Or if we fly 30 degrees, it would be a different time.
Correct.
Or if we fly 60 degrees, it would be a different time.
Correct.
So we need to figure out when this signal entered the event horizon, so we can figure out where it entered the event horizon. Yeah. So we could go there, go in, and pull them out. Because we don't want to get in there and then have to move temporally, spatially on the inside of the event horizon, because then we don't know when we would be coming out. We could come out in the future or the past unless we figure out where on this arc time is moving.
Yeah, you'd have to find the exact precise moment that you went in to exit on the linear scale. Yes.
Right.
Otherwise, you would screw up what timeline where you're coming out on your own timeline. Yes.
Which I think we can still do.
Could we? Is this phenomenon, I suppose, small enough that we could circumnavigate it, or would that take years, months?
Yeah, no, you could. Eva came back with it was roughly the size of what I said, small. It was a planet, the planetary size.
I'd say we drop 12 probes at an equidistant mark and draw this out like a clock.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
I like it too. Let's make it happen.
Are you sending those probes in the event horizon or out of the event horizon? On the inside, right?
Into the event horizon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's actually a really good idea.
And actually, at that point, we could tell them to reverse at warp 5, and we could triangulate exactly where they are all moving.
I would like to.
Or maybe we would have to back the first or forward the first one back to the time it was.
I get what you're saying, though. Yeah, you could definitely do that.
Then
yes.
Do it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all on the same time scale.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would like to equip at least one of them with a possible tetrion nozzle that would let us that might be able to let us control distance as well inside. That way we can test out both theories at once.
I think we should test that out on a probe, at least one.
Does that technology exist?
We can make it exist.
Well,
this is Starfleet.
Because I know I've fired tetrion-based weaponry before, and it doesn't cause any time distortion as far as I know. So just using a tetrion beam wouldn't be enough.
Not on its own, but it's obvious by the fact that our communication came back tetrion augmented. That
right.
For some reason, tetrions allow something to move inside. Or else we wouldn't have gotten the message. It just would have, because I would assume it would affect waves as well, the distance effect. So theoretically, the tetrions freed up at least freed up the message to travel to us outside. Mm-hmm. So theoretically, if we could augment our engines with tetrions, we might be able to move.
Yeah, perhaps adding tetrions into a matter antimatter whatever interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tetrion cascade, let's call it.
Yes, that's a good word. Into the warp manifold. Give me a give me an engineering and something fancy roll. Control engineering? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd like to do this with Yesbeth. She has astrophysics as a focus,
Sure.
so I think that
I
might
think
apply.
I think daring and engineering sounds the most likely,
Okay, she's got daring.
since we have no clue what we're doing here.
I'm gonna step
Um,
off for a second while we roll this stuff.
Yeah.
I would like to give you one threat and spend the 2 momentum to roll 2 additional dice.
Sure. I will just take that threat because I won't sit. And the ship will assist with whatever I clicked on.
Come on, big money.
Well, I like the 20.
Well, the 13, well, I don't know if that succeeds on the ship.
That is a success on the ship, yes.
Those are 2 of them that are within my focus.
So that's 4.
So,
Nice.
yeah, that's 4 successes, 1.
5 and a complication.
5 and a complication.
Phew.
All right.
Love it.
So you will I will give you back 3 of those. All right. So far as you're aware, you have created a stable, you believe, and in at least in the space you are currently in, you have created a stable reaction using a cascading tetryon emission inside of a warp manifold on a probe. It doesn't seem to do a whole lot in this space, but who knows what it will do on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be clear, Yesbeth didn't just invent time travel.
Not in
Right.
not in your universe, anyways.
Okay.
But it does. The warp field is emitting a stable tetryon warp bubble, tetryon infused warp bubble, whatever we're doing here.
Confused is a good word.
Infused. So far as you are aware, this should function the way you believe it will function on the other side of the wormhole, but not necessarily on the other side of the event horizon. But it doesn't seem to do anything on this side,
Right.
other than it's probably causing some kind of horrible radiation that's going to kill everyone. But it's hard to say.
Yeah, okay.
Give our dear doctor something to do.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's do the clock maneuver where we send the probes in and get a read on. We'll make sure that each of them is emitting a distinct signal, so that way, if we pick up a signal, we'll know which probe it came from to deduce the route the communications take.
Yep. Okay. It doesn't take very long. You guys get that set up in a little over 3 hours or so, including getting them all deployed and getting the tetryon field thing set up in engineering.
It only takes 3 hours to circumnavigate the singularity.
Yeah, it's only about, like I said, it's only about the size of a planet.
Oh, okay.
We've
So-
got work. too,
Okay.
so.
Yeah. So it wouldn't even necessarily take 3 hours. It would just, that's including making sure your precision is correct.
Stopping and launching and yeah.
Stopping and
yeah.
launching, making sure all your measurements are exactly precise, because you don't want to be off
Okay.
by a degree, you know.
Mhm.
Being off by the slightest degree would probably bone you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, yes, but the anomaly itself is not very big. Probably a large planet, but whatever, nonetheless. You have set up your clock. You have got your one warp capable, or possibly time capable and warp capable, whatever probe. Are you going to try to test that out on the other side, or?
Once we finish with the clock maneuver.
All right. So you have the clock all set up, and you're getting telemetry back. You are also, because of the fact that you've now circumnavigated and you've entered the anomaly the way you have.
Would we need to do another circle to make it 3-dimensional, just like headings work? Or is this a disk, or is it a sphere, like a normal singularity, like a normal hole?
This appears to be a flat a flat planar
Okay.
thing.
So okay.
Not one dimensional, but it's not spherical.
Right.
You certainly could do it that way if you wanted to. I would not. That is more complex than it needs to be.
I think the readings, even on a 2-dimensional image, would be enough to do the calculations we're after.
Yeah. Plus space and time are single dimensional, so they're each one dimension. So the one of the probes is actually picking up a stronger variation of the signal, the tetryon emission, and it is able to relay. You are able to then gain a more accurate. What's the word I'm looking for? A more accurate message from the because you're getting from before it goes through the time, not timeline, before it goes to the event horizon and all that fancy stuff. It's closer to the original source. And what you're detecting is that it is clearly being sent as a distress signal from the USS Europa. And the only message that it says is alive.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you have slightly less, no additional information, you send in the probe and you order it to move through warp, which it does, and then you order it to engage the tetryon cascade infuser. Yes,
Cascade infuser,
and it does begin to move through time and space. It begins to move through time and space equally at warp, which is what you're seeing, essentially. You're also beginning to note that there is a level of entropy beginning to happen on the mechanisms inside of the bubble, inside of the probe itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's deteriorating.
It is deteriorating.
Can we put it in reverse and have it come out the way that it came?
Yes, you throw it in reverse. It begins moving through time and space in the same way. The entropy does not reverse, but everything else does. Time and space does. You would have to find some way, which would probably just be a matter of tweaking the mixture so that you're able. Because the one thing you can't do with a probe is you can't necessarily vary the amount of tetrions. Ratio, which is something you could titrate that on the ship.
But we throw it in reverse and it pops out of the singularity.
It does pop out of the singularity, correct. At the exact space and only a matter of seconds. Well, I mean, right. Linearly it pops out when it pops out, but yes. Yeah.
So we should bring that aboard and figure out what's causing that deterioration. Because if it's going back in time, that deterioration shouldn't have happened.
Unless the warp bubble isn't an effective shielding, and we need to strengthen it.
Mm-hmm. At the very least, we can calculate the estimated wear and tear of the materials to get an idea of how much entropy it is. It might be a bearable amount.
Yeah.
So you bring it aboard?
Yep.
Okay. Give me a sciencing roll on that. I think reason and science would work good on that one.
Cool.
Anyone that wants to assist, obviously, or an engineer would also do well here. I'm not sure I have anything for the doctor to do on this one, but maybe.
Don't have a useful focus.
Elizabeth will assist. Did not succeed.
1 success. Ooh, thank you, Eva.
Wait, it's a 0?
How did she roll a 0?
I don't know.
Anomalies.
Let me try that again.
Is that like a double crit?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, that should totally count.
There we go. An 11. I don't know. I might hit the wrong button because it's also appears to only be. I guess it's a D20. I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be a 1. Either way, we'll go with 1 success for that. Plus once. No. How many? What's that?
One from Cass.
One from Cass, and none from
Yeah.
Hage, or from
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So you quickly determine that the entropy is consistent with distance and time moved, essentially. So the ship moved 1,000 years through time, essentially, or 100 years through time. It essentially entropied at the same rate, and it moved through the same relative point in space as well. With the successes, with the two successes you have, it wouldn't be hard for you to grasp, to come up with a way of titrating the warp bubble, essentially. So the way a warp bubble normally works is it's basically securing you in space and time, or in space. Sorry, it's securing you in time while you move through space, right? So it's negating that movement through, so you don't age. So nothing, everything outside of where you are doesn't age, essentially, at an abnormal rate, which is what would happen normally if you went through. The faster you go,
Right.
You could, with finite control, you could manage. You believe you could manage the control on the Europa, or on anything that was larger than scale than a probe, anything that you could actually titrate the effect on, something you had more control over the mixture. So you could even do it on like a runabout or the Arrow Wing. Probably not on maybe on a shuttlecraft, but it'd be harder on a shuttlecraft because of the way everything is compacted. But certainly on something that was larger scale than a normal shuttlecraft.
How far into the event horizon did this probe move?
How long did you have it in warp? 10 minutes?
Sounds good.
A relative distance that it would have moved, whatever the normal distance that a thing would move at warp 5. So it definitely moved at the same rate you would expect something to have moved in warp 5.
And based on the material science that we understand, because this is the stuff we make our ships out of,
Right.
how long did it move temporally?
You said 1,000 years before, right?
Well, that was just an estimation. Yeah, hang on one second.
Gotcha.
So we spent 10 minutes in there. We moved physically at an appropriate amount of distance, but it aged far more because it clearly deteriorated.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is the
Right.
time dilation we're dealing with?
Yep. Hang on one second. I will tell you.
Ooh,
That
was bad.
at 10, what's that?
You went green entirely.
Oh, dang it.
That's a Zoom thing.
Yeah.
It hasn't been doing that for me. It's on you.
Let's
Yeah,
say you look
apparently.
fine for
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
fine now. Okay.
And that is distance traveled in 1 minute. So it moved approximately 500 light years, I guess, is the distance you had moved in at warp 5 in 10 minutes. And that would be that's 200 times the speed of light. So you would have basically aged 20,000 years. No, sorry, 2,000 years. Sorry.
Okay.
Not 20,000
Okay.
I
years.
mean, that's still,
It's a lot of
Okay.
time.
Significant.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, 2,000 years would be correct. And that's assuming that the warp scale is correct.
So if somehow, for some reason, we went in there, I really hope we were smart enough not to try to move forward.
That's a good
Right.
point. And no, I don't think
Because
we can
if
move
we
At least not
pull
without
something
the
out.
yeah.
we can't move backwards either.
Well, if we move backwards using this new propulsion system, we'd pop out
Yeah.
singularity.
Right.
But if they don't have, if we, at whenever we are in there, don't have this technology, then they wouldn't be able to do that, which means they wouldn't be able to move spatially. They'd only be able to move chronologically, which means they
Right.
would still be just on the other side of that event horizon.
Mhm.
So we shouldn't be dealing with really any significant amount of
Spatial
entropy.
travel.
Would we be able to using the probe data gathered from the clock system? Would we be able to figure out the closest angle to the ship
Mhm.
and using the probe that can move, can we have the probe go to that time and space?
Right. Yeah, we absolutely should. I mean, we understand the principles now.
Yeah.
If it can survive that amount of deterioration, we moved 500 light years and it was 2,000 years old.
Well, we might.
These probes aren't meant to last that long.
No, but if we're sending it in at our best guess of where other side we are, it shouldn't have to move very far at all spatially.
Right.
We just sent it in on some random vector and it did what it did.
Well, there is definitely a large amount of spatial compression here too, because this area is only the size of a planet. If it moved 500 light years, there's a significant spatial distortion as well as a temporal one.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
an infinite amount. So,
Yeah.
you know,
It also would indicate likely that you're not dealing with, that you're only interacting with it on a single dimension.
Right.
Which means your clock thing does work from a certain perspective, but it probably isn't surrounded the anomaly spatially and on its
Right.
own three-dimensional space.
Right.
Does that make sense?
kind of.
Ish.
it's
Have we
deep science.
have we found the point where other Europa entered? Did I miss that?
You have not.
Now let me just throw something out here. And I may have spent too many times playing through some sci-fi hollow novels. But what if we're already on the other side?
Ooh.
And where I'm thinking, like, if you wake up looking at a puddle or a pool and you press it and you see the ripples, how do you know which side you are on until
Well,
you go through I played through one like this. It was a while ago.
well, we're still getting from our sensors full and ordinary data from our own universe. Whereas if we were on the other side, there's no reason to suspect there's a full universe of matter and energy in there.
I think you answered this already, but I want to do clarification. If we send a shuttle or a runabout or a captain's yacht rather than the probe, we would be able to better control the distance moved and therefore the time more precisely.
Yes.
Okay.
Cass definitely volunteers to do that.
I think we should send in a team. I think it's worth the risk. We're looking at the possibility of limitless travel. If we were able to harness this, we would be able to travel anywhere in the universe, any time in the universe, possibly. It would be a game changer. We have to at least look into the possibility.
Oh, absolutely, sir.
All right, well, Cass, why don't you get a team together and go in? 4 people, I think, should do it. Choose your team.
Okay. Ensign Chiarca, I'd like to have an engineering person aboard. Lieutenant Shajin for piloting. And somebody with better, at least a couple of people with better sense than the two of us. So perhaps the doctor and a security person of the captain's or first officer's choice. I think we might want to have someone on board who isn't as ooh science as I am, sir, to be perfectly honest.
Mills, maybe?
Mills, I think Mills is an excellent idea.
Okay.
What are we hoping to gain from this?
Well, our objectives are, first, we're going to try to find the source of that signal because we think that might be important. Second, we'll see if we can precisely control the space-time within the bubble.
Is this not something we could do remotely?
We would need something with a we per our research, we would need to be able to precisely control the amount of tetrion being put in the engines, and that does require something more precise than a remotely controlled probe.
But could we simply remotely control a runabout?
No, because
Do
we've
we
got
need
this.
organics on the inside of this then?
I think we do need real-time monitoring and alteration of the tetrion field from the inside.
Which we get from our FTC.
Kind of. But yes. There is a delay, but it isn't substantial. To get the most real time, you would either send in something that has EVA installed, or that would
That's
be
what I was-
something organic.
Yeah.
Could we, I mean, I'm not using the correct terminology here. Could we siphon off a portion of EVA and simply download her into a runabout?
No, she is not compatible. The only thing that might have any compatibility with that would be the arrow wing, because it is
Do
part.
runabouts have, could we install a hollow transmitter on one of the runabouts?
Sure.
Because a hologram is far less data than EVA is. We could send in, I probably wouldn't send the doctor, but perhaps the SSH.
You could.
I don't know if I trust him to have the capabilities needed to trace back the signal.
He's also
And-
expendable.
Well, and if
The
we do
crew
need,
isn't.
if we
No,
do need
it's
to innovate, it would be best to have real-time innovation capacity on board. And besides, sir, I want to go.
Nobody's expendable, but everybody here is in Starfleet. We know the risks.
I
I-
agree. I think we're
And I
taking a
think,
pretty long stride with those risks.
well, the probe made it back fine, just a
Right.
little worse for wear.
The probe made it back with 2,000 years worse for wear.
But now we have
People don't last for 2,000 years.
right, but we have enough data now that we know not to go that far.
To answer one of your earlier questions, though, Ambrose, theoretically, well, not theoretically, the arrow wing is integrated technology into the Europa, so it does have the capacity to be able to hold an extension of EVA, but it is the only vessel that you guys have other than the Europa itself that could do it.
Cass, make sure that everybody who's on this away mission is aware of the risks. If they deem it the risk unacceptable, that we're feel free to find somebody else.
Absolutely, sir. I'll give a scary briefing.
I don't think there's anybody on this ship who would turn this down.
No, sir.
You go in here, you gonna die. Captain says you ain't got to go, but we going.
Would a distress signal from one of the shuttles or the arrow wing read the same as Europa, or would they read differently?
They would be
Nice
differently.
question.
The shuttlecraft especially would. The Europa, the arrow wing would have similar characteristics, but it would be different.
Mhm.
So we're getting distinctly the Europa's, transmitter frequency,
Yes.
is what you're saying.
There's a minor phase variation, but otherwise it is, yes, it is clearly not anything other than the Europa.
Yeah.
The phase variation can be accounted for in a lot of ways, but it is clearly not the arrow wing, and it is clearly not a probe or shuttlecraft.
Good to go at your command, sir.
Let's do it. I want to go over the plan one more time and hopefully apply an advantage to this mission.
So you're pulling Mills, Cherka, Shajin, and Cass for this, right?
I
Just
succeeded.
making sure. You mentioned the doctor. The doctor would not go. Would ask to not go.
Did you say we're going to die? I'm going to stay.
Less that and more like, let's not take half of the command staff off the ship into a wormhole.
Got one success.
Take
Okay.
the holographic medical thing.
What ship are you planning on taking in?
A runabout, unless we decide otherwise.
I think we should take the captain's yacht.
The captain's yacht. Okay.
The Early.
Eva.
She's waiting to get her hands on it.
Yeah, Eva is when you suggest shuttlecraft, there is a distinctive argument from Eva, but when you recommend taking the Arrow Wing, she does not contest as much.
Okay. Welcome aboard, Eva. This will be a new experience for all of us.
All
There's-
right, don't
Also, the distinct possibility that if something were to happen to all of you, I could still get the shuttle out.
That is true.
Cass, before you go, I do want
That's
to
not
have
what I said.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're going to.
Cass, before you go, I want to have one last word with you.
Yes, sir.
This is your command. I'm trusting you on this, and I want you to remember that no scientific advancement is worth the crew. Be careful. Let's. We're taking a big risk here. Don't take any risks you don't have to.
Understood, sir. I will be prudent.
Good luck. We're okay. Good luck. You've put together a hell of a team, and I hope for great things.
I'm confident in the team, sir. We'll bring
Good.
something back.
Perfect.
All right. And with slightly more protesting, at least in his mind, from Ambrose, you guys begin to head out. The Arrow Wing separates from the underside of the saucer section, where it integrates, and you fly it. So who's the pilot here? Go ahead and whoever the pilot is, which I believe is
Shijin.
Shijin, give me a piloting roll. This will be daring and con, and your difficulty is going to be 2, but your complication range is going to be increased by 2 as well.
So that's 17 to 20,
Correct.
and I need 2 successes.
Oh, and Eva,
Okay.
and Eva can assist.
What did you say? Control con?
Control con or daring.
I'm not sure how I accidentally grabbed a threat, but reverse that. I didn't mean to.
Okay. We need 2 successes. Do we have any momentum?
You have 3
Should I
momentum, and Eva has provided you with 1 success, assuming you succeed.
Okay.
The Arrow Wing has provided you with 1 success.
Knowing that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. I don't think we need to. I say this now. I don't think we need to spend
go ahead.
momentum.
Go ahead and get one. Can't. We've got 3, and
We've got 3. Yeah.
not dying is probably good.
You might even build up some more. So
Yeah.
All right, sure. Okay, target number is 15. Shijin does have, well, she has focuses in both fightercraft and warp fields. I mean, I assume I'm not using any tactical maneuvers for fightercraft to really apply. But with her understanding of warp fields, would that help with integrating this new Tetrion-based warp bubble?
Yes, in fact, it would.
Okay.
In fact, it would be ideal.
Okay.
nice.
Well, that's only 1 success.
That's all right. You got 1 from that and 1 from the ship, so that's 2 successes. That's all you needed.
Okay.
Eva corrects a couple of your mistakes. But yes, you managed to the ship with some heavy shearing and a lot of being bounced around. You arrive in a particular point in space on the other side of the wormhole, or the event horizon. When you first cross, it's quite disorienting because you're seeing you're seeing into the future essentially, right? So you're looking forward at this point in space that you are in, but all the things that happen in this point of space, you can kind of see them coming at you. You're not moving, but it takes several minutes before you can really focus in any kind of meaningful way, for any of you. You're now moving in a completely different way than you would normally have moved. I assume you tweak your warp field.
Well, we would have to initiate the Tetrion-based warp field before we go in,
Right.
because if we go in without it and we can't move physically, we wouldn't be able to press the button to activate the warp field.
Right. Exactly. Yes. You
Which
managed
you
to
will point out.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Yes. So you did have it up before, but you're now dialing it in so that things become more consistent with what you were able to perceive. And you'll note that none of you are crushed to death and have died. So that's a huge thing for having crossed a black hole event horizon. And yes, you do manage to dial it in after a few minutes. In fact, Elizabeth, if you want to go ahead and give me, or whoever's doing engineering and science, you guys want to go ahead and give me a roll on to dial in the to finish dialing it in so you can control it the way you need to and move how you want to.
Okay.
Can I assist with that?
Sure.
I would say I can assist with that too as well. Mills's secondary is actually engineering.
Okay, so that'll be
Awesome.
that's okay. Yep.
Well, only one person can assist, right?
Generally speaking, yes, but I will allow in lieu of spending momentum, I don't have a problem with you guys doing it.
What are we rolling?
So normally you can only roll a maximum of 5 dice, right? I think it's 5 or 6 dice. So
I think 5.
these basically just count towards as if you had spent momentum, right? So you're
Gotcha.
rolling 3 additional dice. You're getting 3 additional assists essentially that you would not, or 2 additional assists that you're not normally able to get. But because it's different, you're all working on different systems, right? So the Shijen is working on is helping dial in the warp field for the movement. Elizabeth is actually doing the physical adjustment, and Kaz and Mills are assisting with the finite things. Basically, I don't care if you guys roll for everybody wants to get an assist in.
Yeah, I think the rule book says you can have as many people assisting as is reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can't use momentum, or we can still.
You still can. Well, the main person still can.
Yeah, I will use momentum.
I am going to increase again the threat by 2. Not threat, but the complication range by 2. You're gonna do what there, Brian? You're gonna use 1 momentum?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, don't even bother rolling the assist. The assist only works if success on the.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay. 14 was not enough to succeed?
No.
Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3 complications, though. All right.
well, what do you mean? What do you mean 3? Because that 20 wouldn't count because the assist wouldn't count because
Oh,
he didn't succeed.
that's fair. Yeah.
So it's
you're
2
not
complications.
counting
That's very good.
Yep.
Very good. Yeah.
So 2 complications. All right. You begin moving through. You get the bubble tuned in the way you believe that the bubble should be tuned in, and you begin moving through space at a reasonably slow speed, slightly above that of warp 1, or really pretty much warp 1. What's that?
I think it's 0 complications because you said the range was increased by 2. That'd be 18, 19, 20.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
oh, good.
Well, it doesn't change much other than how bad I was going to make it. You begin moving forward a little bit, and Eva quickly tells you that your biosigns are altering in an unforeseen way. You'll want to stop, or at least reconfigure your calibrations. So if someone else wants to take a stab at it as the lead, I will do that one. We can do one more and hope we don't fail.
I can
Okay.
try. What is what in engineering?
Daring or control, I would say.
Okay.
Unless you got something else you can.
Either of those are the same for me. So it'll be a 13.
All right, I'll do 3 this time. That
My
way I get my
target.
17, which is what I wanted the first time.
Can Shajin assist again?
Yeah, everyone can assist. Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Oops, sorry, did not mean to roll 2.
Just take the 2. It's fine. We can choose like that, right?
All right. And I did spend 3 to make the thing higher, but doesn't matter. None of you guys got that. So that succeeds. After a few minutes of tweaking it, you definitely dial it in. What's that?
What was our target?
Target was 4.
Okay.
And you've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5.
Yeah, so I think we get 1 momentum.
Yep. The ship gets to roll 2, so you guys can get that one too. I'm just gonna.
As she's working, Yezabeth is visibly
6, 3, 4, 5. Should be 6, right?
Is a 12 a success for you?
Yep. Because
Well,
my
it's
target is 13. I have a
2,
10
3, 4,
control
5,
or daring and a 3
6.
engineering.
6. So that gives you 2 momentum. What were you saying, Brian?
Yezabeth is visibly frustrated, as because she knows she screwed up the first time, and she'll be like talking to herself as she's trying to recalibrate, and she'll be like, "I should have just stayed in. Why doesn't anybody just leave me in my sensor room?"
Steady, Ensign, you've got this. Nobody else could do this. You've got this. Just double check. We've got infinite time and infinite space.
Lieutenant, I'm beginning to think everybody could do this better than me.
Nils just looks over at you. Look, everybody makes mistakes. You're the one who came up with this whole Tetrion cascade thing. It's okay.
She grouses.
Ensign,
But,
that's why we're part of a team. We've got each other's backs.
Yes, sir. She says, obviously still a bit sore.
Not believing a word of it.
Yeah.
Just hoping this works. I don't want to come out 200 years older.
It could be worse. You come out 200 years younger and you're your great-great-grandma.
She was a lovely woman.
So, you have managed to get a grasp on things. Your sensors have been adjusted. Eva is using the information that was gained from your earlier full spectrum FTL communications, as well as everything else you guys are doing. And your sensors are picking up at distance and time, quite a ways away from you, the Europa, or a ship that looks exactly like the Europa. It is, again, space and time are slightly inverted, so you are seeing it relative to where you are. It looks as though it is a great distance off, and some of that is also in time. But fortunately, you can go straight across in time and reach it before it is where you are seeing it.
Could
That's
we
a known fact.
figure out when that is? It may be easier just to go back and around the outside than it would be to travel that far and then back.
Didn't we use the clock maneuver to get ourselves into position to get there at the nearest point?
No, because we didn't know where it was.
Right.
I think
So-
we got close. Like we're in the
Yeah.
we're in the right like pie section. But now that we have a line of sight to it, we should be able to calculate more precisely.
Right.
Gotcha.
When you look at your time, the way your clock lays out, it's actually linear. You're not getting a pie shape. You're getting sections on a graph, like the sections going forward on a graph, because it's single dimensional.
Gotcha.
So you do have a rating of where you came in, where and when exactly you came in, but you're not, because of the way that the space is not, the dimension that you are in is only accessing your plane on your dimension on a single plane. It is not
Right.
giving a clock rating. It does get you what you wanted as far as getting back out, but it won't give you what you need as far as when they came in.
What condition does that Europa look like it's in?
Bad. It looks pretty bad. It is clearly been in here for, or where it is on the scale has clearly been a long time.
Can we use sensors? Oh, okay. Can we use sensors either visually or otherwise to calculate exactly when and where it is in terms of the bubble?
Yes. In terms of relative space and time, yes, you can.
Okay. Is it okay if I roll with it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, because you have your clock set up, basically you have you do have references to a realistic time.
Yeah.
I would like to spend a momentum.
Which, by the way, I had not thought of that ahead of time. That was brilliant.
Mhm.
All right. So that's that one.
Yeah, 1.
Okay. Yeah, you get a pretty good point in time where they are. They are point in time and space. Your essentially, in order to get to where they are, you will have traveled forward in time a specific amount of whatever. Like it's pretty close to about 1,000 years. However, because of the way you have your warp field generated, you can move through space and time as if what is inside the ship is static. You are moving through space and time externally.
How did
Okay,
they
so we
get
could-
that deep? If they have propulsion to move forward in here, shouldn't they have the correct propulsion to move backwards? Why would they be that deep?
Maybe they had the same idea, but didn't have the Tetryon cascade
Yeah,
calculated correctly, and it failed.
and yeah,
Or what if they came in? What if they came in from that time? What if they left and came back in? Or maybe that's the Europa in 1,000 years.
But that wouldn't they be over there and not over there?
Or maybe the cascade just isn't enough to protect a larger vessel.
And if that's 1,000 years in the future, nobody we know is on that ship. Best we can hope for is it became generational. And there's what 150 people on that boat.
Of different
We
species.
couldn't survive 1,000
No,
years.
we
There's
certainly
not
couldn't.
enough biodiversity.
Does the ship look like it's?
Says Shajin with her one science.
Does the ship look like it's gone?
It does not look maintained.
Okay, so it looks like it has been there for 1,000.
It looks like it has been there for pretty close to 1,000 years. So, can you guys see my? You can't, can you? That sucks.
Are we able to get detect the comm signal with less distortion now?
Yes.
See how long it's been
I was
transmitted.
about to ask if we could hail them now that we're inside.
Yes. So, again, moving along the lines is moving through.
Pink is space.
Right, pink is space.
Yes.
So yes, so what you're seeing essentially is that you've come in, roughly like here-ish, right? It is roughly here-ish, in relative to the singularity itself. The singularity being an actual thing where all space and time combine into one location, where they appear
Could you
to.
do the this and this again? Because I wasn't watching the stream and we don't see you on.
Sorry, the one that is nearest to the event horizon, the little blob, that little circle, that is you guys. And then relativistically speaking, the other one, this one, is where the Europa is.
Okay.
So
it would be better for us to back out and go around the other side.
except that if you look, your space and time only connects to the event horizon.
Oh,
you can't go
yeah,
in
along the
oh,
event
got you.
horizon. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, right, that's what I was trying to get with you guys. You're only
I got
you're
you.
only accessing the singularity on a single plane, not the singularity, but the interior of the black hole is only being accessed on a single plane. The singularity is where all space and time are essentially breaking down,
Okay.
or converging at a single point. It doesn't show it very well there, but it shows it better on this one, if you guys can see that one. The big bounce theory. that's confusing. I don't want to get into that. But essentially, what you're seeing is that space and time end at the singularity. Everything else is before that, except the point of the other point, which is where all space and time are one. Not really relevant. You can see where the Europa is. You can make it to the Europa if you wish to. You can also hail the Europa if you want.
Can we
That's
make
it.
it to the Europa without aging 1,000 years?
Yes, because you guys have created the bubble that will prevent all space and time from affecting you. You are basically a bubble of normal relativistic space and time.
Well, then that explains why they're still exist. So there could be people alive there.
Well, let's hail them first and see what we're dealing with before we get any closer.
Yeah, we should Tetrion charge the comm signal so that way it can reach him.
Yep.
Okay.
See, this is why we didn't just leave you there with your sensors.
Right. Yes. You send a signal to the Europa where you see it, relativistically speaking, and you get a response. The response is in binary.
Oh, of course, of course. Eva has survived.
Be the only thing that could, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
After a few minutes, the Eva aboard your ship, aboard the
Aero shuttle?
the Arrow Wing, tells you that yes, I am detecting that this ship entered the anomaly from the other event, from the mirrored event horizon. Unfortunately, the crew did not have the young ensign's insights into being able to manipulate the Tetrion field as deftly. They modified their warp engines to be able to move through space once they were but they were unable to. They were unable to titrate to titrate the effects, and when the ship moved, the crew did not survive.
Aging 1,000 years in a couple feet. That's unfortunate. Lieutenant, if that's an alternate Europa, if it could have information about that alternate universe.
Oh, absolutely. What I'm wondering is if we have any need to go there or retrieve the ship, or could just back up their Eva and call
That
it
would
good.
be the wiser choice.
That's what I'm thinking. It would eliminate quite a large number of risks.
I don't know, Eva, do you think we can transmit you if we wanted to?
I am not certain. I can tell you that version of Eva is frightened.
Can you tell of what specifically? Is it a residual effect, or is it in response to our presence?
Probably being left alone for 1,000 years. That
Well-
drive anyone insane.
Insane,
With an
yes.
AI.
And the
but
and the
frightened-
prospect that she's going to be alone for all of eternity.
Yeah.
The prospect that she may be alone for eternity, or that she may reach the singularity. Not knowing what is on the other side of this, what would happen once one reaches the singularity of space and time.
I don't know, give me a couple books in 1,000 years and I think I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, no new data for that long for a computer would be horrific.
Well,
Can she back herself up onto the Arrowwing systems, or are her data needs too great?
Stand by. I do believe that the information could be stored aboard the Arrow Wing, However, I do not believe that two Evas can exist in the same location.
Well, we don't need two of your personality. I mean, we
Well,
just need your memory banks.
we don't leave sentient beings behind.
Right. This isn't just a computer. Could we, Eva, could we return to our Europa, grab a spare computer bank? That would still require us going physically over.
Yeah, I think
The only way would be to retrieve the positronic core.
Yeah.
From
we're gonna have to board.
Alternatively, that ship is not able to move through space and time the way we are. It may be possible, although theoretical, for us to move through time and to the location where it entered, to either before it entered or as it enters the space.
Brilliant, Eva.
Alternatively,
Isn't that what Arani said?
it is. Except you meant to go outside and go around. This is going from the inside. Alternatively, we could leave this Eva to reach the singularity. While we do not know what's on the other side of the singularity, what would happen if the Eva crossed the singularity, the opportunity for discovery would be astronomical. Forgive my pun.
Well, it would also be wasted as there would be no way to get data back across that side.
We could ask the Ava to transmit its data as it gets it. If we get everything up until its destruction, that is pretty valuable.
And there's the ethical implications to consider.
It's a suicide run. That's not acceptable. I do like Eva's idea of us going back to the time and point of entry of that ship and giving them the tools to take themselves back out. That saves the crew. It saves Eva.
Would it save the crew?
Well, if they don't move after arriving in the space.
Well, we're not backing that one up.
No.
We're backing
us up.
That one up.
Right.
In which case, that one will never have been stuck.
Never have been. Yeah.
Because if we back that one up and it comes out with the same amount of entropy, I mean that would be it, wouldn't it? Arani sent me this one hollow vid.
Well, I'm open
because that's already happened.
The probe when it came out had the entropy of having existed for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think that if we were to kick it back, I think it would just be 1,000 years old.
It's 1,000 years old ship minimum. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're not talking about.
But would our Europa still be there when we come back?
Sure, because we're moving inside this universe.
Ours is still.
We return to our point of origin when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about divergent timelines.
Right. Yes.
Ish. Yes.
Okay.
Divergent for them, less for us.
Yeah, because for us, we go in, we do our stuff, we come out. For them, we are erasing the future in which that Europa does not have the technology to survive.
Well, I don't think we'd be erasing that future, though.
Creating a new timeline?
Well, I suppose what I'm not grasping out of character, I guess, is how would we revert? How are we reversing what happened? Because if we send the Europa that currently exists back,
we don't do anything. Yeah, we don't do anything with that Europa.
We're not sending them back. We're sending us back to their point of origin.
Right. You guys can now move 3-dimensionally in time and space with the ship that you're currently in.
So we exit into that alternate universe slightly before that Europa enters.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, yeah, we could, yeah.
Or you arrive, you calculate where it came in at and
There- yeah,
stay on
yeah,
this
that's-
side. You could go either
That's what I
way.
was thinking. Yeah, we stay in the bubble of this universe, but instead of being over here in space and time, we move over here in space and time to the point where they entered.
So what we're
Wow.
not showing, what we didn't show you on the rest of that Penrose diagram, if you want to look at the thing now, I'm gonna share it with you. This is the second stage of the Penrose diagram. There's actually a bigger version than this even, but this is the second stage.
Mhm.
So there's a universe that is parallel to your universe on the other side of that parallel horizon.
Gotcha.
That-
I get
Okay.
what we're talking about now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This
This makes a lot more sense.
Yes. Again,
okay.
partial science for
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
and then there's another Penrose diagram that I'll show you guys later. But yes, so that is something you do actually have the capability to do that on this side, assuming that assuming nothing fails on the arrow wing, you can do that.
Okay.
So that's not us. It's never been us. It never will be us. That's a parallel us.
Right.
Right.
It's still, we don't know how parallel it is. It could, that alternate Europa could have explored the sector for all we know. It could still have a lot of valuable data on it.
Data only relevant to that universe.
Not
Not necessarily.
necessarily.
How would it be able to see into our universe?
Well, it wouldn't. But if it visited, if it visited the planet Snarf, there may also be a planet Snarf in our universe.
Well, we
But
can and should
Could also be different.
download it.
So
as
we
well.
have to check planet. What did you like? Snarf? Is that a real place? We'd have to check there anyway to see if it's different. If it was different, what does that matter?
Data aside,
don't care,
we
I just
still
fly the ship.
have the ethical question. We still have the ethical obligation to not leave a sentient being stranded in space.
Yeah, there's no question that we're doing that. I think we have a plan to prevent this from ever happening for them.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess if we prevent them from going into the black hole, they would never have existed. Therefore, we wouldn't be able to get their data anyway.
Correct.
that seems logical. Yeah. All right. So hearing no objections, let's take ourselves to the time and place of entry.
All right.
Backtrack along that Europa's track.
Somebody give me a science and daring roll, and then whoever the pilot is, give me a daring piloting roll, daring and con
Okay.
roll, or control.
Dare-
Control and con would also be fine.
Control.
would like
Daring is asked, but I'll do it.
Mine is pretty
I
good.
would presume that your daring science combined is going to be better than my daring science combined, because my daring's pretty legit, but my science is
My
gotta
daring
throw-
in science is 14. So
You
oh,
beat me.
nice.
Yeah, take it.
all right.
What is the what numbers are we looking for?
So for the first roll, which will inform the second roll, should be difficulty 2.
Difficulty 2.
Yep.
Normal
and the
complication range.
no, I'm out of threat. The piloting roll will be informed by that roll though, so stand by for that roll.
Okay. Can I assist on the sciencing?
Yes.
Okay. Daring science 1.
I'd like to
Nothing.
spend a momentum. Only one success.
Okay. So that is not a success, as the difficulty was 2. However, all that's going to do is just make your role more difficult as a pilot. So your difficulty is going to be 3.
Okay. I'm definitely taking an extra dice then. My target number is 15. Control 11, con 4.
I think
I need
Fiona
3
could probably assist you
successes.
in piloting if necessary.
Sure.
Okay,
Ah. The shuttle
Cons-
also assists.
The shuttle does also
that's
assist.
true. Eva's here too. Gotcha. Cool. Okay. I assume my focus still applies.
Yes.
Hi. That's 2 successes for me. That 3 is under my con.
Okay.
That's daring con.
You can also do control.
Okay, they're the same. That is dead on the nose for me. My That's a 12.
And then Eva gives you 1, so that is 4 successes.
That's 4. Sweet.
Nicely
And we
done.
needed 3.
You needed 3.
All right. So we get a
Yay.
momentum.
All right, so you guys managed to make it to what you presume to be the correct point of space and time where that Europa enters into this universe. Were you trying to go a little bit before, or you were trying to go exactly when?
I think exactly when, because there's no point in sitting around waiting for them.
Okay.
We, real quick before we get too far, we actually get another momentum because Mills has pack tactics.
So you arrive. What's that?
If we go exactly when, we would need to make sure that our technology is comparable to their technology, because essentially we would need to give them this technology so they can
Right.
back themselves up.
Right. Yeah.
Could we
Would it
go
not make
before
more
and
sense
send a signal out?
and just warn them? Yeah.
I
Well,
thought
that
was
makes
fine.
sense. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Assuming they are able to
Well, if
ungarble the message like we did.
and if they
I mean, it's
don't, they
worth a
come in and
shot.
we're here.
If we,
Yeah.
if
Right.
we exit the wormhole, or if we exit the black hole, then we'll be able to communicate with them freely.
Wouldn't it be the other way around?
No, he's talking about if you go out of the black hole where they were at the moment
Into
they were going to
their
come
universe.
in, you'd be in their
Got
universe.
you. Got you.
Would Kaz be seeing any downsides to taking a prime universe matter into the secondary universe? Is there any reason not to do that?
There shouldn't be any effect there, but give me an insight and science roll.
Okay. No focuses. Oh,
yes.
Wow. All right.
Oh yeah.
So, and I'll let you ask questions if you want to. The difficulty was going to be 0. One of the theories that goes along with the Penrose diagram is that wormholes, that you can use this in a wormhole fashion, the same way that the Catherine was talking about earlier. However, one of the things that's thought about is if you cross through the secondary horizon, you can't really re-enter the same singularity that you originally exited, because of the way the Penrose thing works. It would actually bounce you into a divergent timeline. Essentially, you would never be able to get back to the one you started at. You could only go to another one that was similar. So you'd get divergent timelines that way.
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
So that's one of the theories that goes along with this. So that is something that Kaz would definitely know based on, the Penrose theory.
Can you say that again?
Once you exit through a different event horizon, so once you exit this event horizon, you would not be entering the same singularity that you are in right now, because of the way that parallel universes work. So you could never really get back to your universe once you leave this singularity. If you're in the singularity,
don't want to cross the parallel horizon.
Right.
Correct. You
We
do
can
not want to cross the
try
parallel
sending a
horizon.
message, but we don't want to
Makes
leave.
sense. That makes sense.
That's what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have 3 questions if you want them.
Elizabeth was just going to say there's an alternate universe to the alternate universe.
Yeah. And we don't, daring as we all are, we don't want to go there today.
You could get back to one that was pretty close, but you would never get back to the exact one you were in.
Yeah.
Everybody has snake tongues and eat food that way.
Unrealized realities.
It's the universe where Fox bought Disney.
Nothing suggests that there would be any problems with our getting a message out, regardless, without taking into account their ability to receive it. Is that right?
Correct. You should be able to send a signal the same way that Europa sent a signal to your universe using a tetryon particle wave.
I don't think I've got any questions. If anybody else does, go for
If
it.
they can figure out how to ungarble it like we did.
Well,
No,
So-
I mean, I don't. Sorry.
when we were talking about sending messages into the wormhole, Commander, maybe had said we would need to truncate it so that when it got there, it would be stretched out.
That would be for a traditional
wouldn't-
signal. If we're sending a
we-
tetryon signal, we don't have to.
Okay. So theoretically, if we send the tetryon signal,
They
it
should
should just
just
get to
receive it.
them as normal.
They would receive it the same way you guys received the tetragon signal.
Yeah.
And basically Eva would pick it up is what you're hoping for.
All right, let's send the signal.
All right. What are you going to say?
Signal or-
Do not bring the
Abandon
Europa
all hope.
across the event horizon. If you want to send a probe, modify it in this way and give them the tetryon cascade information.
Okay.
We should accompany. You should put something that only you would know along with the message. So that way, alternate Cass knows it's from Cass.
Well, unless alternate Cass in that universe got phasered on their last away mission or something.
Fair.
Or
but-
knowing it comes from ourselves
Yeah,
intrigues them so much they feel the need to enter into the wormhole.
and which would be fine without, we can meet ourselves. That's cool. But we'll give them the data in order to do that safely. And yeah, the signal identifier can say it comes from me of the USS Europa, with a note that we're from a different universe, and attachments of the Penrose diagrams and a whole bunch of scientific papers and all kinds of good stuff.
Right. Try to cram as much data as possible into that one little signal and hope they can dissolve all
Footnotes. Yeah.
All
Aren't
right.
we essentially creating a paradox? Mills just kind
No,
of like muses out loud to herself.
since
Yeah.
it's not us as far as we know.
Right.
But if we tell them not to go
they don't
in-
come in,
Yeah.
then we never would have done this in the first place.
Well, essentially, it would just be making
gonna
the alternate
disappear?
universe an alternate universe to the alternate universe. So that
True.
Europa would still exist in here, but the alternate universe itself would shift.
No, this is too much for my brain. If I can't punch it or tactically work around it,
Well, if time is
I hate
linear
sci-fi.
here, and we basically snip that timeline before it starts in here, then that Europa should just disappear and we go home and call it good.
Mysteries of time travel. Let's just chalk it up to that. We'll find out.
Yep.
all right.
Temporal mechanics. Ah! So, since you're putting so much information into this message, give me a control and engineering roll.
All right. I would like to spend a momentum. I know I've been doing it a lot, but we have a lot of momentum.
Nothing.
Nice.
Can I help?
Cass has a focus in computer systems. Could she work on data compression or something like that to assist?
Sure. What was well? Yeah, one person can assist, so either Mills or Cass.
Does a focus in astrophysics apply?
I'm gonna say no on this one.
All right. Well, I don't think I have a focus that applies then. But it is still 3 successes. So
I should have let Mills roll for it.
Oh,
Uh,
I mean, I was going to defer to you anyway because your skill is higher.
This is
So-
when we learn that the alternate Europa is crewed by Romulans.
Right.
who knows? It could be the mirror universe. When you guys go to the mirror universe in the future, they'll have gotten this, and they'll be all like, "Wait a minute."
We know you.
So that is Eva gave you 1. No, Eva gives you 2. And then you got what? You got 3, you said?
3, yeah, 3, not counting the assist. Yeah.
That's 4. All right. So that will max out your guys' momentum. And as far as you know, you have set a signal and no Europa comes through.
Is the other Europe is still in here?
At the point in time and space where you are, it is not. In the point in time and space where it is down that way, Yes and no. You've
Right.
created
It's
essentially
Schrodinger's starship.
it's
Right.
Schrodinger's
Yeah.
starship, yes.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
That's fair. So before we wrap up this mission, there is one thing we can do. We can try going into the future or the past in our timeline.
I don't think we want to do that.
Why would we do that?
To see if we can.
I think we have tested our luck enough for one day, Ensign.
Ensign, I am under specific orders from the captain not to engage in science fun.
Well,
Not to
all right.
engage in
Risky science fun, I think, was the.
I think we've done everything we can here.
All right. So you're gonna go back to get out where you came in.
Yeah.
Do we,
What?
Lieutenant, do we want to move forward briefly in time just to ensure the Europa
that's-
does not come through?
I think it's a good idea. Take us forward like a week or something.
Okay. Yeah. Along the timeline that you go, you do not see the Europa.
Okay. Our work here is done. Let's go home.
All right. Give me a piloting roll to get
Is-
out of here without being, in a new space or time.
Can we add a flourish? Can we appear 1 second before the shuttle leaves? So like
So we cross ourselves?
just to see if we can.
was that-
Sure,
that was-
Ensign. Go for it.
Okay.
I mean, Lieutenant. Yeah.
I don't know if
Ensign.
I would like that. And if I don't like that, I'm not going in there, which means we wouldn't do this, which means that would definitely be a paradox.
It would
Because
be
I can imagine
proof-
myself being like, hey, that's weird.
Well,
It would be proof that we successfully got out, though.
It'd be
Could bolster us.
It'd be less than a millisecond. It would be exactly the time it takes for you to press the engine button. So that way there would be no stopping past you. But we would know that we were able to travel through time ever so slightly.
But isn't space here would be time there. So time there is space. If we show up before we leave, wouldn't we crash into each other?
there is a danger in
Fair
that because
point.
we would be on the same vector. Yeah,
we
let's.
would want to show up a few seconds after we left to make
Let's
sure
do
we
it.
don't crash into each other.
Let's do it by the book, Lieutenant.
Okay. What if we try to exit at exactly a specific amount of time though? Because that would tell us. Like exactly, we shoot for an hour and 30 minutes after we leave.
I mean, that should be doable, I guess.
I don't see a problem with that. Yeah.
You guys will just have to make the calculation, the scientific calculation.
All right.
That's on you guys.
Uh,
I would like to use 2 momentum.
okay. I'm gonna say what's 2 for?
I'm
What
sorry.
happens if I fire phasers out of this bubble?
3 momentum for
Wait,
2
don't-
dice is what
Okay.
Let's not test that theory.
Your difficulty is going to be.
Well, that's a really good question. Maybe we should.
Especially if we convert our phasers into a tetryon-based particle stream.
Oh, you could be onto something.
Destroy the shit. Destroy the Europa before you get. So your difficulty in order to do this, in order to get out, is going to be 2. In order to get out, and the precise time you want is going to be 3. You rolled and got 2
Oops.
with the complication.
Yeah.
This was to calculate your exact time, though. So,
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and say that the complication is going to give me threat, which I'm going to use to increase the complication range for the piloting roll. The calculation that Elizabeth gives you,
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
the calculation that Elizabeth gives you is pretty good. It looks pretty good. It looks like you can definitely get home with that. It's pretty close, given your markers, your clock markers that you had before. Might not get you exactly where you wanted to, but you're pretty sure it'll get you close. Your difficulty is going to be 3, to get out, and your complication range is going to be increased by 1, so 1920.
You should use that momentum.
Spend that momentum. Yep.
What if we shoot phasers further into the singularity?
They would travel forward in time.
Walk forward in time.
Lieutenant, brain on the controls, please.
Right,
I
Let's
think
just take us
we
home.
should come back to this. I really like where your head's at.
Okay, so 1 momentum for 3 dice. Was that already taken into account?
Yeah. Yep.
I saw we went from 3 to 2.
Yes, that was you spending 1 momentum. Yep.
Okay.
You could.
So I want to spend
And if-
another.
Yeah.
Go for
The
it.
other 2?
Absolutely.
I'm going to
Yeah.
spend the other 2.
Okay.
I can also assist with this.
do it.
Okay. Yeah.
And remember, your complication is 1920.
1920.
Yep. Unfortunately,
And control con.
or daring. I'll take either one.
That's 3 successes.
Great roll.
Make that 4.
4 successes, and
Beautiful.
the ship got a 19. So,
Damn it.
yeah, it's fine. You managed to come out.
Eva's just mad because we were going to leave her other self behind.
Right. She did terrible this session. You managed to come out. You managed to come out approximately 20 to 30 minutes after you went in, when you sync your chronometer. But you don't come out in the exact same space. You actually come out closer to one of the other.
How does that work?
That was the complication. You come out like at a slightly higher slightly higher plane than you would have otherwise. Doesn't seem to be a big deal though.
Yeah, close enough, people. That's
Close
fine.
enough.
Except that it defies the laws of physics.
I'm not convinced what everything just happened didn't defy the laws of physics.
It makes sense inside of the laws of physics and there. Coming out in a different location. Shajin doesn't have the science for this. I'm giving her. It doesn't help her at all, but I'm definitely giving her point of science after this episode.
You're basically off by like a 1/1,000,000th of a micrometer in your calculation. You came out 1 foot differently in space. Or it's a different reality. Who knows?
This alternate universe had a butterfly flap its wings differently.
So yeah, you managed to find the Europa still sitting there. Ambrose and Hage, the con officer tells you that, or the acting science officer tells you that something's emerging from the anomaly. It appears to be the Arrow Wing, which we named, and I don't remember what we named it.
The Minos, I think.
That could be.
Paige would hail. Cass, how was your little jaunt?
Kaz is super tempted to respond to the hail as Admiral Castrianeth of the Andorian Empire, but passes on the opportunity and says, Captain, it wasn't Europa, our Europa on the inside. It was from a parallel universe, and we provided directions for them never to have entered in the first place. Problem solved.
Kind of.
I love it when we solve problems we didn't even know we had.
And that they will never have had at all.
And they weren't really our problems?
Nope. But we got to experience a pocket universe and discovered the existence of another alternate universe on the other side of that, and returned safely in 20 minutes. So not a bad afternoon.
I'll come on aboard. I think we're going to inform Starfleet Command of this anomaly and flag it for further study. This is definitely something that we could spend our whole mission studying this thing, but we've got places to be and people to see.
Yeah, unfortunate that we didn't discover the missing ships, but a fascinating bit of science.
come on aboard. Get yourself. You and your crew deserve a hot meal.
If
Thank
I
you,
may,
sir.
sir.
Of
For
course.
future reference, we should establish some sort of verification code before leaving for these missions.
But what if an alternate us has the same idea?
Well, in theory, the alternate us verification code shouldn't be the same.
If we generate a random code, yeah, it's at least a check. That's reasonable.
It would be the same if the randomness is based on the same random seed.
Conceivable. I mean, it wouldn't be perfect, but in case I was the Grand Admiral of the Andorian Empire, it would catch that at least.
Well, we'll go over that when you're back aboard. Good job, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Shuttle out.
Can I fight? Oh, never mind.
Nope, sorry.
No, I like that perfectly. You say out and shut off the comms just as I'm like, can I?
All right.
Oh no, sorry, nothing. I just wanted to see if we could shoot it.
You managed to connect the arrow wing back up, and everything is back to presumably normal. Anybody else have anything they want to do before we wrap up? Any final
I would
scenes?
like to close with the Dasavi and Cass scene because we didn't get to that.
Yeah.
That'll work too because you can be scanning Dasavi. Or Dasavi can be scanning Cass for that whatever Elizabeth did to you guys when you guys didn't have your correct.
Oh, Shajin also would have went immediately the same. So just in the background when while you're having a conversation with Cass, some nurse is like doing a full scan over Shajin.
Could we take a quick break first, though? Just
Sure.
use the restroom. Okay.
Sure. Let's go ahead and go to pause, and we'll give it 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
Oh, come on.
Oh.
Oh.
That's dumb.
Pain in the ass. That's fine. Whatever. We're almost done anyway. Oh wait, I might be able to fix that. Anyways, while I'm trying to fix that, what do you guys want to do? You're back aboard ship.
We left off with Devasi and Cass, right?
Yes, that's
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're in the sick bay, and poor Shajin is frantically getting scanned behind us.
Right, and is being told that she has aged 8 whole minutes more than she should have.
Have I always had this white hair? I don't feel like you're an Andorian. Hair's always white.
I think Delphine is the one looking at her, and she just is so tired.
I don't know. My left antenna feels weird when I do this. Well, then don't do that.
Nasavi kind of her attention a little divided, kind of chuckles to herself as she tosses a look over her shoulder and turns her attention back to Cass. Lieutenant, all seems to be well. You also have aged 8 minutes.
I can
Your
live with
hair
that.
is also white.
That's also weird on its own because we came out after 20 minutes.
8 minutes more than you would have otherwise.
Have you given any thought to the naming of the creatures we encountered?
Yeah, I have been. I was hoping that we could pull something out of their language that would give us a sense of what their names were. And so I've been going over the material, and we didn't get anything that suggests that they had a collective identifier for themselves. I was thinking there's a sea creature on Andoria that's a lot smaller, but similarly shaped and very, very protective of their young. They're called the Aran, and I thought that might be a nice name.
I think it's fitting.
Something to. Andorian creatures tend to be rather focused on reproduction. So given that, I thought that might be appropriate.
I think that's very apropos.
I'm glad you do. I'll pass it on to the captain from both of us then.
Maybe we could talk about it in debrief tomorrow. But either way, it doesn't matter. If you see the captain before I do, fine by me.
Your morning debrief sounds good. Share the news with everybody. I like it.
You probably should get some rest anyway. You've had quite the day.
It's been a busy day. Thanks, Doctor. That's going to be good.
You're welcome. All right, go on, both of you. And you, she looks over at Shajin. If you don't calm down, I'm going to order the nurses to give you a sedative and send you to quarters.
She looks aside with a wry grin, thinking, I'm good.
She gives you like a motherly shooing.
I think she was largely just messing with the nurse for the most part.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have anything else they want to do?
I have a good way to wrap up the session. So who won Tongo when we played it before the mission?
I would assume that the overall winner is probably Tong, with a final hand being won by
There you go.
Vegas.
I let him win, just to make him feel good.
I would like to. They sit down to play Tongo again, and this time the conversation reveals that actually it was Who was it was actually Cass who won.
Yeah, the one in the last hand, Cass is the one who was there instead.
Yeah. Wait a second. Have we entered an alternate universe?
We've entered an alternate universe.
We filmed that scene. We might not air
Yeah.
that scene.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, let's go ahead and end it there. Moment that stands out most to you this evening.
I thought Tong was hella fun. I want to see more of him.
Yeah.
It will be better when I remember to prepare something for it.
I did kind of wish we'd gotten more out of that scene.
Yeah.
It should be something we do.
More
Maybe
often.
not like super often, but it's something we should definitely come back to.
Mhm.
I think it'd be fun to establish Vega having more insights into the players as time goes on.
Mhm.
Plus, we can always invite other characters just for we could have a small rotation going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We can play off more chemistries.
All right. Anybody else have a what moment stands out?
I think the sadness of the other
Yeah.
Eva and the conversation about, do we leave her? Do we go get her?
That was some good Star Trek.
Yeah, when I wrote this in my head, it was much, much more sad than it turned out to be. But yes, I liked that.
Well, if Ambrose was on that mission and not Shajin, it would have went very differently.
Yeah, fire torpedoes.
No.
One of these things is bad enough.
Yeah, I think it would have been a
He
lot
would
of
have wholeheartedly. Well, actually, I don't know if that's true because he doesn't really acknowledge the sentience of Eva yet.
Mm.
Yeah, I was thinking of Kaz going, "We brought back two."
Yeah. Who best embodied their character during this session?
Not me. I was too scientific for either of my characters.
I actually think you did great, especially as Ambrose. I liked that push-pull between him and the captain.
Yeah.
I continue to really like that relationship. It's not the most favorable one, but that just makes it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought we really got to see the captain as an explorer today too. That was really nice.
Yeah, I don't need these two Andorians. Put them in that giant black hole over there and see what happens.
Captain, I think we're skipping some steps here.
Anybody else got a best character? Who best embodied their character?
I liked Chirka's, seeing a little bit more of that, that self-doubt and insecurity.
Yeah, the having failed and self-chastising.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially considering she's still working outside her area of expertise at that point, isn't she?
Yeah, she's new at that. Well, her expertise is I built her as a science officer, but I'm hoping she works her way into engineering. But it's ended up we needed a little more engineering, so she's ended up being more engineering than science. But
right.
It's still
I think it's worked really well because Kaz is much more of a social scientist, so it's a really effective mix, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we got O'Connor in science, but her specialty lies actually more in the xenobotany and poisons and cures kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you or your character learn today? Other than quantum and temporal mechanics sucks.
Right, yeah.
I think I learned that Mills cares a little bit more about AI than I thought she did.
A sentient is a sentient is a sentient.
Yeah.
Good idea, bad idea. This is a pretty easy one, I think.
Going into the wormhole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not firing tachyon phasers at the wormhole. We're going back to that.
Yeah. I don't know.
We're gonna team up. We're gonna do some
Mhm.
shit.
I don't know what that would do. I have to science that one out.
I'm
What-
sorry. I thought of something that stands out.
Sure.
I had a hard time thinking of one.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of good stuff. I really liked how you. I got the impression that you were following our lead in terms of like studying the wormhole or
Yeah.
studying the black hole, and like it really felt like we had a lot of agency there, and that really excited me through the
Yeah.
whole session.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched probably 27 or 28 hours of stuff on black holes to be able to do this session.
Dang.
And unfortunately, I think it was way too much science for the session. But
It made a surprising amount of sense.
Yeah,
you know.
it did. And that helped because it never felt like we were bullshitting each other
Yeah.
on either side of GM or players. It
Yeah.
felt like we could come up with a plan based on what you gave us, and you were reflecting our plan back into what happened.
right.
That's
So,
the difference between sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah.
Because sci-fi, you work to explain things and make things make sense, at least within internal consistency.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. I did not know when I going into the session how you were going to, like, all I did is I wrote, here's what's going on. Let's see if they can solve it.
Mhm.
So I was really looking forward to seeing how you guys solved it. What did you see from another player or character that you want to see more of in the future? We've talked a little bit about what the stuff with Elizabeth and her shifting more into engineering and whatnot. But anybody else have anything?
I do want to see more of Mills and Shashim together. Just that tease of that looked like that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what I can do with Eva, having now touched the mind of an Eva who was, resigned to die.
Ooh, yeah.
Might give me something to work on later.
An insane cross-dimensional AI.
You didn't end up downloading all of her info though, so that was probably good.
Correct.
If you could change one thing about this session, what would it be?
I wish we downloaded that data.
That's the good idea, bad idea.
Right.
But which one is it?
I think I would have liked the Tongo scene to have had a bit more direction to it rather than just an exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have remembered, much like Jack, I would have remembered that we were doing this and actually looked at like terminology and whatnot.
I would like to find a way to better prep you guys for science heavy episodes so that I'm not trying to explain a lot of out of character science that you guys should know, but I don't know how to do that.
Can we do like a brief beforehand?
Maybe.
Like, here's all your stuff. Ask my questions now.
I mean, that would give away sort of what we're doing.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I think this is just fine because even in the show, I mean, they present new science to the audience all the time, and we're just learning right along it with everybody else. You just present it as
I
information coming in.
Yeah, in terms of flow, I think it worked fine.
Yeah.
You know what we could do is we can keep a list of things we want to see, and we could just at the beginning of the session we just glance at that list real quick, see if there's anything anybody wants to do this session.
Right. This is what I did not end up showing you guys. That gets into a lot more of what was going on as far as like that little beam, that little scuddy spot right there. That's a space time, whatever, classical on the dark purple side and not the blue side. So the side going out. That's the current moment in time moving out, and that's the amount of cosmic radiation there is in that particular point in time going out. And this is the idea of the big, rather than the Big Bang, it's the big bounce, right? So it's when you go through a black hole, the singularity becomes where all of the space and time come together and then explode out again into a new universe. This would not have helped you guys, I don't think, in anything that we talked about, but this is a lot of the initial theory of what we were doing. So it's real theory. Like, it obviously extrapolated heavily for a science fiction thing, but it's the Penrose diagram and all that stuff. That's real science.
I'm gonna look more into that. That's really cool.
Penrose just won the Nobel Prize in Physics last year, so that's what got me thinking about this.
You know what I would have loved to see? You did it towards the end there, but I would have liked to see it earlier, where you actually showed where we were on that space-time map.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was looking at the wrong map the entire time. I was looking at I guess it was our universe. I thought that was the black hole, and I got
gotcha.
Yeah, I was as well.
I
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's what you guys were doing, but I didn't want to say anything in case I was wrong.
Right.
Because I'm like, wait, we're talking about the opposite thing.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, the let me pull that up real quick just to show it again. So this is the Penrose diagram. Where is the singularity? That's the interior part of a black hole. That's, if you think about a black hole, a normal black hole, right? That's where all of space, time, and matter is compressed into one tiny little spot, right? That's the singularity, which is not really a thing that can exist in Einsteinian physics. Like, it doesn't really work in relative physics. But that is theoretically what would happen inside a black hole. Well, the space-time inversion thing also happens inside a black hole theoretically. But that what this is showing you is the arrows, those little white arrows that's your universe, and that is you guys moving through time.
I didn't pick up on that. I thought that was the black hole.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we'd seen like little icons representing our ship in the space-time continuum.
The problem with it is so that the two white lines, right? Those are where you are. Like, that is normal. You don't actually move around inside of this technically.
No, I know, but even just having us on that line would have been
right.
helpful.
Yeah.
To be fair, it does say in rather large letters that I don't know how I missed up until we started talking about this interior of the black hole.
Yes.
Yeah, I missed.
To be fair,
completely.
So did I.
I had to be fair. All right, but yeah, that's basically what it is. And like I said, this other Penrose diagram, this is a little bit more explainy of the next step in the thing, right? So this is that black hole, white hole, that convergence. That's where the big bounce comes in. That's where that little center of the big bounce is. So yeah, it's there's a lot going on. It was a lot of science, and it may come up in the future, but hopefully not to that extent.
That was great.
I liked it.
It was great. It really was.
I don't think any of my characters really function well with it, but I think that's also good because
You're the only one without a science character, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have what's her name? I do have Varen, but she really is more of an anthropologist than she's a social scientist and not a physical scientist, or however you want to classify that.
I do have one thing I would have liked to see.
Sure.
I think the pacing could have been really broken up a little by a character scene in the middle of the session.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had one at the beginning and one at the end, and those were great. I would have loved to see one in the middle, just to like break up the pacing a little.
What I should have done is written what the crew was doing while this was going on, and I didn't do that.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's a good point.
But you really couldn't, because the amount of time that passes would be determined by when we chose to leave the singularity.
Yes.
We chose 20 minutes, which only gave the people on our Europa 20 minutes to do something. So you really couldn't prep because you didn't know if we were going to show up a minute after we left or an hour after we
right. I had actually had you guys originally planned to go aboard Europa, the in Singularity Europa, and deal with some more directly deal with that Eva and what was going on that ship. We bypassed that, which is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I had. That's where I had kind of planned the character moments, and it's my fault for not having planned them out a little better. When in my head I had the story. In the head, I had my story very linear, and it was not a good way to have done it. But it's one of the drawbacks to having, to forcing your way through writer's block. It's by just going through and writing, is you don't necessarily get as creative an outcome.
Well, I think you still could have done something like that. It just, there really didn't seem to. I feel like the alternate Europa, the internal singularity Europa, the Eva there could have like cried out or asked an interesting question, or there could have been some physical difference that would, incite us to go check it out. As it wasn't really presented like there was really any reason to go there except for the ethical dilemma, and then we kind of solved that with let's just go back and make it not a problem kind of thing.
Or if it hadn't aged 1,000 years, because I think once
that scared us away.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of that was just they were running out of time for the session. So, but yeah, so I absolutely agree with you. And there are some things that if you read the synopsis when I finally put this out, there's a lot more information there for because I said I wrote these up as a mission brief. So if anybody wants to run in the future, there'll be a mission brief for this eventually. And if you read that, there's a lot more of that in it of like what of. I tried to. I don't know if I did a very good job of explaining it or not, or showing it. But Eva was supposed to be getting nervous. Like Eva didn't really know that like on the outside of the anomaly, Eva didn't really know that was Eva in there. Suspicions, but didn't know. Once you get inside of there and Eva finds out that is Eva in there, or if you guys don't take the ship in or whatever, if essentially I had it with the Europa going in, but taking in the Arrowwing is just as good. But once the idea was that it was
not on Ambrose's watch.
Yeah. The idea then was one thing I wanted to reflect, and I didn't do a very good job of, was that Eva is now seeing this, and the two Evas are communicating, and it's that existential crisis for your Eva. And I wanted to get some of that out there, and I don't think I did a very good job of that. But that's something I was trying to point out, and I don't think I did. So I could have done that better.
I wish we'd gone aboard. Or at least gotten the data. I thought that was an interesting thing that we kind of left on the table.
And I would also say, to play off of that, don't feel like you need to truncate something for the sake of the episode. If it would be more interesting for this to be a 2-part episode, let's call it a 2-part episode.
Yeah, if I'd been
because I think we could have spent a whole episode. If we went to the other Europa, we could have spent a whole episode just on that Europa.
That's true. I didn't really have a thought as to how we were going to make it work as we were going through, so that's on my bad. But again, I'm still struggling with some of that writer's block stuff. I'm hoping that it's getting better now. I've got some new ideas, but when I wrote this, I was at the height of not having a whole lot of creativity. So
I've been there.
Yeah.
The way it unfolds. So, I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, yeah. A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it worked out. And like I said, some of that stuff I might be able to use in the future, because I've got, I doubt that's the last time we're going to deal with parallel universes. It's just a thing I tend to do. So
Cool.
I don't have anything else. Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
All good. This is terrific.
I think so.
Cool.
Yeah. I will say, actually, if we're wrapped up on the episode, I think I mentioned this before. I don't know if I did it on stream. I have some models that I'm putting together. So if anybody who's watching wants to head over to my channel, twitch.tv/The People's Ascension, on Thursday, I think I'm gonna put together the rest of that small Miranda.
Oh, cool.
And just talk about reactions to this episode and general Trek talk and whatnot. There's not much I have left to do on that one, so it probably won't be super long, but I plan on doing that Thursday. So
at 4, you said?
What's that?
4 o'clock? What time?
Probably around 7.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll put it on Twitter.
What time?
I'll put it on my People's Ascension. Eastern. Yeah. Eastern. So 7 Eastern on Thursday is tentatively what I'm going with. That's usually when I decide to stream. But you can follow People's Ascension on Twitter. That's PPLS Ascension, because Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
I do want to do one more thing in the future. I'd like to get in to do a session of this where we do a breakdown of the game, like we tried to do last time when we didn't have everybody, but we couldn't because Twitch. Well, really, it was because I think it was Streamlabs was what was the problem. But I'd like to do one of those at some point. I think we'll look forward to that. The schedule may change. I got the new job. We'll still be Tuesdays, obviously, but it may have to be every other Tuesday, because I'll be working 24-hour shifts on Mondays and Wednesdays. Not every Monday and Wednesday, but every other Monday, Wednesday. So that might make things messed up. But for now, we're going to try to maintain our Tuesday schedule, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the credits.
Cool.